He is a sword god from a perished world who accidentally possessed the frail body of a human. He had promised to protect the family of the body's original owner in exchange for control of this body. But he suddenly realized the truth. This world, full of individuals with special abilities, had no heroes like in his previous life. They possessed similar powers, but there was only one profession for them: hunter. These people, called hunters, would enter gates, known as dungeons, to hunt monsters and exchange their magic stones for wealth. Because the previous owner of this body was just an ordinary person, his family situation was, to put it mildly, dirt poor. Therefore, CEO Dojin decided to head to the nearest dungeon to check it out. But as soon as he approached, numerous warnings sounded out. It turned out this C-rank gate required hunters to have a minimum of 3 members to enter. Ordinary people, on the other hand, were forbidden to even get near. Despite a few more reminders, he couldn't be bothered to pay them any mind. After all, if he wanted to enter, he just had to break the gate itself. After kicking down the gate in front of him, he was instantly teleported to a strange place. Here, the mana concentration was nearly double that of the outside world. In just a flash, Dojin had slain over 30 goblins. But the magic stones they dropped were of a very low grade. Over 8 minutes of my life wasted, and all I got were 12 low grade and 16 mid-grade stones. Suddenly, a voice made him turn his head. "Hey, you, this way now." Immediately, a group of people, looking like debt collectors, lined up and began to question him. "We're from the control center. Please present your hero registration ID. If you're not registered, you'll have to come with us to the station for a chat." Hearing this, Dojin genuinely didn't understand what the man was saying. The leader, looking rather displeased, repeated, "Please comply with our instructions." Knowing that such extras were often a hassle, Dojin didn't bother arguing and simply turned to leave. As if waiting for just that, they immediately ordered, "Cuff him." The blond man instantly grabbed his arm and threatened, "If you don't cooperate, any injury sustained from resisting will be entirely your responsibility." Dojin wasted no words, instantly twisted the man's arm and retorting, "So, if I happen to kill you while resisting, that will be fine too, right?" At this, the blond man's face paled. He couldn't believe that an S-rank hunter like himself couldn't even perceive the movements of an ordinary person. But before that, let's delve into CEO Dojin's memories from his past life. The world where our protagonist, Dojin, once lived had perished. Mutated monsters had appeared in droves, swarming every corner of the land. Humans in that era were forced to fight these monsters for survival, and Dojin, our protagonist, was no exception. His entire life, he knew only how to live by the sword. Dojin stood, panting from exhaustion, looking at the monster he had just slain. Day after day, it was an endless cycle of battles fought with his sword. Month after month, like an unending loop, Dojin raised his sword toward a monster. A year he lived through such massacres. And just like that, in the blink of an eye, 15 years had passed. Dojin stretched after a session of monster extermination. With just his sword, he could cleave any monster in two. He no longer knew the meaning of fear. The day came when he had to face a colossal, dangerous monster. It had a terrifying face with glowing red eyes. It arrogantly told him to give up, because his world was already gone. Dojin's expression remained as cold as ice. He stared at it, his eyes filled with killing intent. The creature continued its incessant rambling, expressing regret for his talent, and it commanded him to become its sword. Dojin, enraged by those infuriating words, clenched his teeth, not wasting any more breath on this fool. Dojin lunged forward, attacking swiftly. In an instant, he was before it, sword raised high. The monster also sprang into action. It lunged to grab him, but Dojin deftly evaded. Its eyes were a solid red. As it frowned, observing him, Dojin skillfully hovered in midair. He glared at the monster, his face contorted in anger. It launched a direct blow at Dojin, who parried it at the same moment. The monster didn't relent, attacking continuously. In its eyes, Dojin was merely a weak insect, struggling in vain. By this point, our protagonist was severely injured. He let out a cough, but Dojin, still able to fight, lunged forward again. Our hero charged straight towards the colossal monster. He kept hurtling forward like an unstoppable rocket. The colossal monster raised its hand once more, intending to crush him. With a mere flick of its hand, it sent him crashing violently to the ground. Dojin, amidst the shattered earth, managed to push himself up. The monster now looked like a veritable demon. The amulet around its neck suddenly emitted a glow. Dojin's eyes fixed on it, his expression determined. The monster poised itself, ready to strike him down. But Dojin was ready to counter. He raised his own sword. Thus, he managed to block that deadly strike. A massive shockwave erupted from the colossal monster's blow. Dojin now kept his head down, looking at the ground. The blue amulet on its chest was now shattered. The monster instantly became enraged. Dojin stood firm, awaiting the outcome. The amulet was now completely destroyed. The monster let out a desperate shriek. No! And just like that, it disintegrated into nothingness. Dojin, too, had no strength left. He fell backward. He lay sprawled on the ground, covered in wounds. His eyes struggled to remain open. A shooting star streaked across the sky. Gazing at the star-filled sky, Dojin couldn't help but marvel. What a beautiful sight. Droplets evaporated into the void. Scene change. Somewhere, a person is walking. Our protagonist appears, now with black hair, on a modern street. His gaze, resolute, was fixed straight ahead. Suddenly, an alarm siren blared. Dojin had arrived at the C-rank Namsenbi gate, a sign clearly recommended. A C-rank party of at least 3 members. Automated reminders to scan hero registration and personal ID codes also blared incessantly. Our protagonist, hands in his pockets, calmly walked on, ignoring the warning. Non-heroes, please keep clear of this area. Soon, he stood before the Yongsan-gu Gate in Seoul Special City. He paid no heed to the warnings and, with an audacious kick, brought the gate crashing down. With a seemingly light kick, the gate collapsed in a cloud of dust and debris. The alarm siren immediately blared wildly. It chimed repeatedly. Unregistered hero has entered the gate. Unauthorized teleportation. Dojin's face remained impassive, as cold as ice. He was now inside a forest, steadily walking forward. Just then, a voice calling out, "Young man," caught his attention. It was a group of heroes. They thought he was lost. A bearded man among them said their group was preparing to withdraw and offered to let Dojin accompany them. But Dojin merely met his offer with a scrutinizing gaze. The others in the group began to whisper about Dojin's attire, saying he didn't look like a hero at all. Dojin continued to stare at them, not saying a word. They continued to remark on his appearance, likening him to a porter. Then their attention shifted to the black bags on his back. They concluded he was some useless porter, brought in by heroes only to be abandoned. Having heard enough of their rambling, Dojin finally spoke. "I just got here." One of them, with renewed confidence, insisted. He must have been left behind. The bearded man sighed in exasperation, advising Dojin, "Whatever your reasons for being here, you should speak more politely." The group then erupted into noisy chatter again, like a bustling market. "You think you can hunt monsters just from watching TV? That's suicide. First, get a hero certificate, pass the training and tests. Then you can dream. Besides, this Namsan gate is C rank. If you're a rookie, go back to an F rank gate and train." Dojin coldly replied, "I understand your concern, but I don't need it." The entire group simultaneously stared at him, their eyes filled with bafflement and exasperation. As they watched him walk off, hands in his pockets, some in the group grew furious, wanting to charge forward and give him a beating, but their leader held them back. The bearded man could only call out after him, "If you won't listen to advice, then you'll just have to learn the hard way. Then you'll realize gates are nothing like they show on TV or social media. They're actual hell." Just then, Dojin seemed to sense something and turned his head, staring intently. Before him stood a colossal, green-skinned monster with 2 sharp tusks. Its white eyes held a red glint. It snorted like a predator that had found a plump piece of prey. Dojin regarded it without a trace of fear. He immediately took off his backpack and sat on the ground. His eyes narrowed, ready for action. The monster lunged first, but he swiftly dodged. Dojin's eyes glinted as he coldly uttered, 15. At this, the green monster launched another attack at him, but suddenly froze, glancing aside in astonishment. Unseen, our protagonist had appeared right beside it, his expression terrifying. Fist raised high. With a single punch, its head vanished completely. Poor green monster. It hadn't even had much screen time before its head was sent flying. It collapsed instantly, a pool of foul blood spreading beneath it. Our protagonist landed coolly. He remarked coolly, 15. No different at all, really. Then, Dojin's eyes scanned the monster's corpse. He then bent down and picked up the monster's distinctively shaped sword. Dojin's gaze rested on the blade. It wasn't a gaze of curiosity, but one of profound coldness. Then he lowered his gaze to the motionless monster corpse beneath him. Instantly, red blood spurted out like fireworks. Dojin then used that sword to stab the monster's corpse. A moment later, he retrieved a magic stone from its body. The stone emanated a sparkling light. A low-grade magic attribute magic stone. In the past, this was material so worthless no one would even glance at. Dojin opened his backpack and carefully placed the magic stone inside. Suddenly, he sensed killing intent from behind and warily glanced around. The sound of monstrous footsteps, heavy and ground-shaking, approached. Not just one, but 3 monsters were charging towards him. The lead monster swung a blade at Dojin from behind, but he reacted instantly, ducking to evade the blow. Dojin hadn't yet put the magic stone into his bag, so it was still in his hand. He seized the chance and hurled it forcefully at one of the monsters. The stone struck it squarely on the head, instantly decapitating it. Dojin once again tossed his backpack to the ground. The 2 remaining monsters snarled in rage and lunged at him. Dojin's expression remained as impassive as ice, without a hint of emotion. Meanwhile, the group of 4 heroes was still wandering through the forest. The orange-haired girl said worriedly, "That unlucky fellow from earlier. What if he actually got himself killed?" A young man in the group retorted, "What's it to you?" Worried about it, the middle-aged man sighed. If he's an unauthorized intruder, the gate monitoring center would have dispatched agents by now. And, just as he spoke, a security team was indeed on the move, racing towards Dojin's location as fast as they could. The man continued calmly, "This Namsing gate is only C rank, so B rank or higher agents will probably be sent, as long as he's not foolish enough to charge headfirst into a swarm of monsters. He shouldn't end up dead. No need to be concerned." The bald man nodded. "Yeah, what he says is definitely right." Dojin landed a heavy punch to its face. After dealing with this one, there was another monster behind him. It swung its sword fiercely down at him, but its blade missed. Dojin plunging deep instead. Dust and smoke billowed up. The monster, unable to see its target, broke into a panicked sweat. Just then, Dojin suddenly appeared behind it. He raised his leg high and brought it down hard, caving its head in. The monster coughed up blood and died before it could even gasp. It didn't take long for both of them to log out from the server together. Only then did Dojin pick up the monster's weapon. He ruthlessly struck it a heavy blow. 3 more magic stones. The sky stretched vast and clear, like a giant, flawless mirror. Dojin walked on, his backpack heavy. While he was lost in thought, a security officer appeared behind him. "Today's haul is pretty bad. So far, 12 low-grade stones, 16 low-mid-grade stones." A member of the team reported loudly, "There's a problem. This way, quickly." Hearing his voice, Dojin turned to look. He frowned, on high alert. Instantly, for security personnel appeared before Dojin, their bodies radiating an overwhelming killing intent. The orange-haired supervisor cleared his throat and demanded, "We're from the gate monitoring department. Please present your registered hero card. If you're not a registered hero, please come with us to the center." Dojin asked, "Gate monitoring center?" The supervisor repeated sternly, "Please cooperate and follow instructions." He was extremely annoyed internally. What now? This is so troublesome. Dojin shot him a disdainful look, then lazily turned away. Forget it. His attitude displeased the supervisor, who angrily ordered, "Get the cuffs." The blonde-haired security officer acknowledged the order and said loudly, "Please, could you cooperate a little? If you don't comply with the order, we will be forced to use coercive measures." Seeing no response from Dojin, the security officer grabbed his arm. He demanded sternly, "Any damage caused during resistance will be entirely your responsibility. It's best if you come with us to the center and resolve this peacefully." However, Dojin remained silent and gripped the officer's wrist in return. The blonde-haired security officer shivered in fear. And so, the opening scene of the story unfolded. Seeing him show signs of resistance, 2 others drew their weapons. 2 electric batons crackled together, emitting a cold blue light. Cold. Dojin glanced, assessing, a level 4 magic seal. That kind probably only works on orcs and below. He used great force to twist the blonde security officer's arm, making him scream loudly in pain. Dojin warned, "This is your final warning." His expression had darkened, his patience wearing thin. "If you don't want to get hurt further, scram." Dojin stood frozen, his face grim. Although attacked by both men simultaneously, he still easily parried their blows with his bare hands. Another one rushed forward, kicking straight at his neck. At the same time, Du-jun also bent his leg, gathering momentum. Then he kneed a security officer hard in the waist. He screamed soundlessly in pain. Jun followed up with a strong kick to his stomach, sending him flying. The brown-haired security officer, seeing his two comrades taken down by him so easily, was too scared to charge forward. Meanwhile, the supervisor could only grimace angrily, unable to do anything. Du-jun whipped around and glanced at the remaining man. His figure gradually became blurry. The supervisor broke out in a cold sweat, his eyes wide with panic. Where did he go? Du-jun suddenly appeared and landed a heavy punch to his stomach. The supervisor clutched his stomach in pain and collapsed. Du-jun cleared his throat and called out, "Hey!" He panted, looking up. "What is it?" Du-jun glanced at him, his questioning tone more like a command. "A hero who's registered with the association won't have any more trouble, right?" The supervisor nodded fearfully. "Yes, as long as they don't commit any serious illegal acts inside the gate. There's no reason for the special task force to intervene." Du-jun asked further, "What about rift zones?" His question made the supervisor jump. "That's a doorway to another world, where monstrous creatures from all over appear. The items harvested from defeating monsters there have become a new energy source. The government has sealed off that gateway and contained the monsters inside. That's a gate. Places that haven't been sealed off by a gate are called rift zones." Du-jun pressed him in a low voice. "Whatever type of gate it is, you guys will still barge in and interfere, won't you?" He was so angry his veins throbbed, his voice deep. "And then the heroes there get slapped with charges like illegal entry and all sorts of things." The supervisor, sweating and trembling, explained, "Yes, that's exactly right. If someone is an A registered hero and enters a gate on their own, the system will immediately notify the monitoring center, and a nearby special agent team will be dispatched immediately." At this point, he loudly tried to justify a rift zone is not something anyone can freely enter and exit like a gate. Even the association doesn't easily allow truly capable heroes in there. Du-jun didn't care. Is that so? And then what? Only then did the supervisor feel regret. This guy's a lost cause. Damn it, I should have reported this to headquarters from the start. Du-jun suddenly reached out and grabbed his face. Before the supervisor could react, he was seized. With a light toss, Du-jun threw him to the ground. Like the others, he glanced over and sighed in exasperation. Truly foolish trash. The supervisor wasn't completely unconscious. He painfully pushed himself up, fuming with anger. "You bastard." He roared at Du-jun's indifferent retreating back, threatening, "Next time, I'll definitely kill you." Du-jun's memories returned to when he shot down the demon's emerald magic stone. Its voice still haunted him relentlessly as he screamed like a desperate man. "I felt some force pulling me in, and everything went dark. Death. I thought I was dead." Du-jun wearily closed his eyes. A moment later, he slowly, gently opened them again. Now Du-jun was doing a handstand in midair. Before him was a young man with black hair, looking very frail. "Is someone there?" He spoke softly, his voice weak. "My name is Du-jun. I'm not going to make it. If you're willing to help, I will quietly disappear." The upside-down Du-jun bluntly refused. "No." The original Du-jun was flustered, unsure how to respond. The other continued in an indifferent tone. "I have no regrets left in this life. Memories of my homeland have faded. 15 years immersed in battle, only to be backstabbed by comrades in the end. My homeland collapsed. I have no relatives left, from friends to family." He seemed to have lost his purpose. "No matter how well you live, in the end, you'll only receive those things. You'll be no different." The original Du-jun boldly replied, "I don't care about my own fate, but I don't want Father and Eun-young to go through such a life." Hearing this, the other sighed impatiently. "So what? Get to the point. What do you ultimately want? I'll listen." The boy immediately brightened up. The original Du-jun placed his hand on his left chest, sincerely proposing, "What I need is..." The scene shifted to the Gazan Digital Complex, Seoul. Today, it was known as the Hero Complex, because it had more gate byproduct trading points than even the tech industry. Du-jun walked through the bustling streets with a cold, detached air. He stood before a nearby shop and muttered, "That place looks decent." As Du-jun walked in, EO spoke perfunctorily, "Welcome." Jun, hands in his pockets, cleared his throat. I want to sell some magic stones. Hearing this, the man brightened up and exclaimed, you've come to the right place. We buy magic stones at the highest prices, not just in Seoul, but in the whole country. Right after, Jun poured out all the magic stones he had just obtained from the monsters. Eo frowned, looking warily at the pile of bright red stones before him. Damn it, you could at least wipe off the blood before bringing them in. Despite this, he still smiled broadly and said, you've brought quite a lot of spirit stones, sir. Please, wait while we sort them. While you wait, please have some coffee. Jun replied lazily, anything's fine. The atmosphere fell silent for a moment. Eo wiped the magic stones dry, while Jun drank his coffee. A little later, he began the transaction. There are 12 low-grade magic stones, 16 low-mid-grade, and 5 mid-high grade stones. The transaction fee for customers is 40% of the purchase price. You know that, right? In that case, Eo smiled brightly, holding up a calculator. The total amount you'll receive is 5,460,000 won. Jun impatiently cut him off. Stop. He leaned in close to Eo, questioning him coldly. I'm the one risking my life, hunting monsters, and you guys just sit there buying them, and you take a 40% fee? Caught out, he flinched and shrank back. But he still retorted boldly. Don't you know, sir? We usually take 45%. Giving you a 40% rate is already a discount. If you don't want to sell, just take them back. But you won't find a better price anywhere else. Jun didn't say much more and swept all the magic stones back into his bag. Fine, I'll take them back. Before he could leave, Eo grabbed his arm. He tilted his chin, his voice stern. Sir, you still have to pay the magic stone sorting fee and for the coffee. The coffee isn't free. The sorting fee is 300,000 won. Coffee is 10,000 won. Towels stained with blood are expensive to launder, so add another 35,000 won. Total is 350,000 won. Okay. Jun sighed and sharply pulled his hand back. I don't have any money. If you want to try taking these fists, go ahead. Eo immediately changed his tune, his expression turning cunning as he gritted his teeth. You'll pay, all right, because we're backed by C-rank heroes over there. You bastard, you think you can escape? As soon as he finished speaking, several tall, dark, and imposing men walked out. The scarred-faced man glanced around, his voice arrogant. What's this? Trouble again? Someone wants to cause trouble again? Jun glanced at them, silently assessing. The man's eyes also blazed wildly, staring back at him. Eo, who was so haughty moments ago, was now terrified by this scene, trembling and hiding in a corner, praying. The scarred-faced man was grabbed by the neck by Jun and thrown hard towards him. He lay limply on the ground, groaning in pain. Not only that, the other two had already been dealt with. They were all lying scattered everywhere. Only then did Jun slowly walk over to Eo. He was still sweating in fear. Jun cleared his throat and proposed. Though his tone was more like he was forcing him, the commission is 1%. He smiled gently, adding, from now on, let's do good business together. A long while later, a voice sounded from outside the shop. Not very. Willingly, please come again. As soon as he got home, Jun slammed a stack of money on the table. Both grandmother and Young were stunned silent, their eyes wide with shock. Grandmother, worried and disbelieving, asked, Jun, where did this money come from? He scratched his head awkwardly and explained, it's not like that. I once lent money to a friend to start a business, and that business venture ended up being very successful. Grandmother didn't believe him and asked again, you have a friend like that? Grandma read him like an open book, Grandma, Jun hesitated, speechless. He had to say something to get through it. You know, Grandma, that's someone I used to play with back then, where I grew up. Although she was still worried, his grandmother had no choice but to believe her grandson. Of course, I'm grateful. Young joyfully exclaimed, Appa, so are we rich now? Jun nodded, smiled, and patted the little girl's head. Yes, for now on. Pleased by what her brother said, Young excitedly jumped and cheered. We're rich. We're rich now. Jun stared blankly, lost in thought, looking at the little girl's carefree and innocent appearance. He silently recalled that moment in his mind. The original Jun had made a request. Grandma and Young. He had looked at him earnestly. Please let them live in a house, safer than anywhere else. And then he disappeared before I could answer. Jun looked at himself in the mirror and thought back on what had happened. When I woke up, I had become Jun, the safest house in Korea. Currently costs 110 billion won. I have no obligation to keep a one-sided promise. But he looked down at his hands and thought, as long as I regain my power, money is nothing. The monster gate rifts. Everything here is weaker than the world I watch collapse. To me, a sword god, this place is child's play. He frowned slightly. I haven't even recovered a tenth of my strength. The three of them, grandmother and grandchildren, were excitedly celebrating when a shout was heard. Du Jun, you're in there, aren't you? He stood up and reassured his grandmother. I'll go check. You stay here. He calmly walked out and opened the door. In front of Du Jun were two thugs. A brown-haired guy growled menacingly at Du Jun. You should pay your debts on time, shouldn't you? The blonde-haired one raised his hand and chimed in. Do you even know how much you owe? A whopping 48 million won. Du Jun closed his eyes and sighed. Must be the loan sharks. The real Du Jun borrowed from before he died. 5 million won. Borrowed to pay grandma's hospital bills has multiplied tenfold in a short time. Seeing he didn't answer, the brown-haired guy leaned down and growled, demanding, You made money from the gate, didn't you? Hand it over. The blonde-haired one pointed at Du Jun. It's all in the contract, you know. So don't act like this isn't fair. He was still mid-sentence when a fist appeared before his face. However, the one who got punched was the brown-haired guy behind it. He was sent flying by Du Jun's power, slamming into the wall with a boom, frightening the blonde-haired guy. After a moment, he regained his composure and yelled, What the? Du Jun emanated a palpable, threatening, killing intent. On the contrary, I've already paid back over 9 million won. Shouldn't I be the one receiving money? Now the blonde-haired guy was cowering. He trembled and stammered. Are you really Du Jun? Without saying much, Du Jun raised his fist and growled threateningly. Tell your boss. I'll be visiting him soon. Immediately after, a blood-curdling scream echoed to the heavens. Scene changed to a bustling shopping mall, crowded and lively. After dealing with the two thugs, Du Jun took Eun Young into a plush toy store. The little girl looked up, delighted, and exclaimed, Can I really buy one? Can I get a new doll? Du Jun smiled gently. Of course. We've already bought clothes. Now you can get whatever you want. He looked at the little girl with a doting gaze, while sharing Du Jun's memories. My previously dry emotions have started to change. Right now, it's just empathy. But Du Jun was very kind to his sister, Eun Young. He chuckled softly to himself. At least I'll protect that affection. After some time choosing, Eun Young picked up a small stuffed rabbit and timidly whispered, Appa, can I get this one? He looked at the small stuffed rabbit in his sister's hands. Du Jun directly picked up a larger bear. He looked at the little girl with a gentle gaze and said, I told you to pick whatever you really want, Eun Young. She scratched her head and chuckled delightedly. After that, Du Jun took the little girl to eat. Both were quietly enjoying their meal. Du Jun was eating noodles, while Eun Young chose to eat a hamburger and fries. Suddenly, an arrogant voice rang out, attracting his attention. Wait a minute, Du Jun. It really is Du Jun. The person who arrived was Hong Hee-ju's daughter. She sneered sarcastically. What's with your appearance? Dressed like that. You look like a mess. And who's that kid next to you? Did you do something bad and get someone pregnant, just like your mother? She mentioned his mother. She had crossed Du Jun's final line. But with Eun Young, here, he tried to hold back and not resort to violence. Eun Young, while chewing, thought, Who is this lady? Du Jun remained silent, enduring it. Hong Hee-ju's daughter smirked disdainfully, looking at the two of them with contempt. Eun Young innocently chewed her hamburger, not understanding what was happening. Just then, she noticed the little girl. What's your name? Eun Young politely replied, Lee Eun Young. Hearing that, she gave Lee Eun Young a once-over. Lee Eun Young, are you from the Lee family? Look at how you're dressed. Sloppy, just like your mother. She looked towards Du Jun, isn't that right? Seeing he still didn't speak, she pressed on, scolding, What, are you mute now? Not answering? Her attitude was as if someone had stolen her meal ticket. After verbally abusing Du Jun, now she turned to mock Eun Young. Hey kid, do you know what whore means? This time, she had truly enraged him. Du Jun gritted his teeth and growled, cursing, You really are an ugly woman, like an orc. Hong Hee-ju's daughter couldn't believe her ears. She was so shocked she froze. Du Jun's expression now was terrifying, a far cry from the timid boy she used to know. Du Jun's past was incredibly pitiful. Du Jun was born an illegitimate child and lived in poverty. When he was 7, his mother passed away, and he barely managed to get into his father's house. He lived for over 15 years amidst discrimination, mistreatment, and contempt. After his father's legal wife gave birth to his son, he was completely abandoned. Then he was kicked out again and lived with his maternal half-sister. He remembered that kind, smiling face and silently called out, "Do-jun, with what kind of heart did you endure all this?" This is part of the previous line, but now he had made a decision. Things will be different now. Immediately after, Do-jun stood up and retorted sharply, "We lived together for 12 years, and I still find you disgusting." Every word he spoke shocked her. "Not only are your looks and personality rotten, but you're also stupid and can't study." Even the two bodyguards who had been standing still were sweating, their mouths agape. You just feel a heavy inferiority complex towards any woman who is prettier or kinder than you. You, who only care about your younger brother's money, are no better than this child here. Not only did he attract the attention of everyone in the mall, but he also delivered a final verbal blow. Not one bit better. Do-jun silently glared at Hong Hee-ju's daughter. Hearing his words, she grimaced, her pride wounded. What? Suddenly, an unexpectedly gentle voice was heard. "Do-jun, long time no see." It was a stylishly dressed woman, but her expression was extremely stern. Seeing her appear, her daughter immediately ran to her joyfully, hugging her and whining, snitching. Mom, do you know what that devil just said to me? He said Hee-ju, unwilling to listen, coldly interrupted. "Stop." She gritted her teeth, glared and growled. "Stand still. What kind of uncultured behavior is that?" Then Hee-ju changed her attitude, smiling and greeting. "It really is Do-jun. How have you been lately? No matter how busy you are, I hope you'll come home sometimes." Do-jun only felt disgust seeing her. What a hypocrite. "You're the one who hurt me the most over the past 12 years. Hee-ju, at this moment, continued to speak hypocritical words. "Your father worries a lot about you." Do-jun didn't want to hear these words anymore, so he growled, interrupting, "Disgusting." His face was cold, his expression unreadable as he sneered. "We're not exchanging pleasantries here, are we?" Do-jun showed clear hostility towards her. "Get lost." Hee-ju's expression changed instantly. She turned angrily and left, leaving her daughter bewildered and uncomprehending. Hee-ju strode away quickly, fuming internally. Is this the Do-jun I know? The brat who would even bow his head, even when slapped for no reason? Her daughter hurriedly ran after her, calling, "Mom, aren't we going together?" The two siblings. Do-jun watched the backs of the mother and daughter. Do-jun said, "Let's go, Eun-young." The little girl sadly replied, "Okay." He also reminded himself, the Do-jun who couldn't say a word and just endured it is no more. It would be better for your well-being, Hee-ju, if you realized that sooner rather than later. In Hee-ju, in her daughter's car. In the car, she was reapplying her makeup. Her daughter beside her kept nagging, "Mom, why did you just leave like that? You should have dealt with that guy." The more she spoke, the angrier she got. "That bastard. Mom, do you know what he said to me?" Hee-ju paid no attention to her words. She closed her makeup compact, cleared her throat, and called, "Manager Lee." He replied, "Yes, ma'am." Hee-ju's face darkened with anger as she questioned, "Why is Do-jun still alive?" Manager Lee awkwardly scratched his head and explained. According to the report, Kang Cheon-woo said he left Do-jun at the gate. Hearing this, she became even angrier. Then why? Why is that brat who should be dead still alive? Manager Lee stammered fearfully, "I'm sorry. I'll check again." The daughter, bewildered, faltered, "He should be dead? Mom, what do you mean?" Hee-ju crossed her arms, her face dark and pensive. Her appearance was enough to frighten anyone who saw her. Her daughter lost her composure and screamed, "Mom, what are you saying?" She shrieked vehemently, "Mom, what the hell are you doing? Are you trying to kill Do-jun?" Seeing her reaction, Hee-ju asked a question that made her blush with shame. "Do you still like Do-jun?" The daughter, completely flustered, shouted back, denying it hastily, "No, that's not it." "If Grandpa or Dad finds out about this." Before she could finish her sentence, her mother clamped her mouth shut. Hee-ju leaned in close, growling threateningly, "This is something I have to deal with myself. Mind your own business." The daughter, terrified, trembled and burst into tears. Hee-ju uttered resentfully, "How dare you speak to me like that? You filthy bastard." Hee-ju silently resolved, "I will eliminate you, no matter the cost." 15 years ago, after the rifts appeared, monsters emerged from them and killed people. Although the world fell into extreme chaos, the chaos subsided almost immediately with the appearance of heroes. along with mana stones extracted from monsters. Do-jun was now sitting in a car, looking at the city, thinking with mana stones, replacing traditional energy sources. Nations around the world poured all their resources into blocking the rifts with gates. And now, all industrial structures revolve around gates. And heroes, the car suddenly stopped. So now, if you want to make money, you have to become a hero. The taxi stopped in front of a hospital. As he got out of the car, he remarked, "Here it is, the hospital." Do-jun slowly walked inside. From the outside, this place looked like a hospital. But tap tap, the gang boss took a drag from his cigarette. He cleared his throat condescendingly. "Who the hell are you, bastard?" Behind him were the two thugs who had come to collect a debt and were dealt with by Dojin. Trang Shop stubbed out his cigarette on the table and continued. "You beat up my men, and you still have the gall to come here." Dojin sat down on a chair and spoke. "No matter how you look at it, I'm the one who's suffered a loss here." The gang boss heard him and let out a sarcastic laugh. "A loss? What do you mean you suffer a loss?" Dojin cleared his throat and demanded, "I believe I need compensation for the mental, physical, and material damages I've endured because of you all this time." Seeing his attitude was different from before, Trang Shop scanned him, sizing him up. His gentle demeanor had also changed. And considering he had beaten his men to a pulp, it seemed he had undergone an awakening. The boss, wanting to intimidate him with his presence, stood up, leaning close and growled, "Looks like you found something. That made you confident. Let me tell you, what happens to defiant bastards, just because they've awakened?" Very quickly, a few more thugs entered the room. Each one looked at Dojin with disdain, half-lidded eyes. Trang Shop let his underlings welcome Dojin, while he himself stood up to leave. Bastards who are proud of their awakening are still just D-rank scum in the end. By the way, he paused, then added, "I have plenty of men who can make a little D-ranker, like you unable to even make a sound." Dojin remained silent, pensive. Suddenly, his voice sharp, he uttered, "Sit down." Trang Shop's jaw dropped in astonishment, and he turned his head. Dojin glared, his voice low and threatening. "I'm not done talking." Before the gang boss could react, the thug with glasses got angry. He rushed forward. "What? How dare a brat like you talk to me like that?" Dojin calmly took off the thug's glasses. Then, using just enough force, he landed a powerful punch right in his face. Just one punch was enough to send him sprawling to the ground. The other thugs stared blankly. Next, a bald-headed guy got punched. "You don't just run a private loan shark business, right?" Dojin turned to physically engage the other thugs. "I know you also make fake IDs." Dojin fought without holding back. "I need a hero card to earn money." Quick as lightning, he turned to attack another thug. Dojin didn't give any of them a chance to dodge, landing a devastating punch. Soon enough, Dojin had taken down all the thugs. He turned to glance at the gang boss and ordered, "I want you to make me a perfect one. No trouble." Then, Dojin gave a deadline that astonished him. "You have until tomorrow." The blonde guy and the brown-haired one they'd encountered earlier also broke out in a cold sweat. Meanwhile, Trang Shop, indignant and resentful, thought, "What kind of power is that? He's not D-rank. Is he C-rank? No, he could be B-rank." Seeing he didn't answer, Dojin impatiently asked again, "Aren't you going to answer me?" Trang Shop, terrified, straightened up and stammered. Dojin placed a hand on his shoulder, squeezed, and questioned him in a low voice. "All right." Besides, in an instant, Dojin's whole body exuded a dense killing intent. His eyes flashed with a dangerous glint. Hiju, did she order you to kill me?" Trang Shop, hit a nerve, flinched and swallowed hard. Dojin impatiently squeezed his shoulder and repeated, "Answer me." Trang Shop screamed in pain. The underlings didn't dare to move. Trang Shop yelled again, "Hong Hiju, that woman said it would be great if we made you struggle with debt, so you'd end your own life. That's what she told me." Even after getting the information, Dojin remained indifferent, as if not hearing Trang Shop's pleas. "Let go. Let me go. Please, let me go." After a moment, he let go, dropping Trang Shop and questioned, "In my own life? So that's why she trapped me in the gate." Trang Shop trembled, stammering, trying hard to explain. "Trapped you in the gate? I don't know anything about that. Really, I swear." Trang Shop clasped his hands, begging, "I wouldn't get paid if you died in there, so there's no way I'd send you to a gate. I swear." Dojin stroked his chin thoughtfully. Then he cleared his throat and ordered, "Kong Cheon. That bastard was the one who took me to the gate. I also want you to bring me information about that guy. By tomorrow." Trang's shop, trembling, struggled to utter each word. I understand. Then Dojin opened the door and left arrogantly. The blond guy at the door awkwardly bowed. Dojin frowned, lost in thought. In his mind, he recalled the words of his original self. Please let Grandma and Yunying live in a house safer than anywhere else. He gritted his teeth in anger and determination. That bastard. Now I'll start setting things right. Dojin took out his B-rank hero registration card. Then he swiped it on the sensor of the machine in front of the gate. For identity verification, the massive gates slowly opened, along with an announcement. Your hero registration card has been accepted. Your rank is lower than recommended. It is very dangerous. Please proceed with caution. Hearing this, Dojin glared at the card in his hand with extreme disgust. He silently cursed. That damn director. He should have upgraded it by 1 rank. Then Dojin put the card back in his pocket and proceeded inside, ignoring the continuous warning announcements. Your rank is lower than recommended. Your rank is lower than recommended. On the way, he received information about the gate. Night Island Gate, B rank. Scale, D. Terrain, tunnel. Recommended hero rank, A. Entrance limit, 2 people. Although it's a B rank gate, its D rank scale makes solo play difficult. However, because it's a tunnel type, it can only be played solo, making it a difficult gate to clear, unless you are around A rank. If luck isn't on my side, Dojin smiled. Something had piqued his interest. I'll have to face hundreds of monsters, alone in a dark, cramped tunnel. A large beast, with a form like a hybrid of a serpent and a dragon, leaped out, claws outstretched, aiming for his head. Dojin focused intently, tracking the serpent dragon's movements and preparing his technique. But his face still held an excited smile. I like it. The serpent dragon let out an earth-shattering roar, earth-shattering, and opened its wide maw as it lunged to attack him. But Dojin was a step faster, tearing the magic stone from its body. With a single blow, the serpent dragon writhed in pain. He still paid attention to its every move and analyzed in his head black killer serpent, a type of snake with venom that causes paralysis with just a light touch. Dojin quickly landed, then used his right toes as a pivot and spun his whole body back towards the black killer serpent. Then Dojin leaped, rushed straight at it, and chopped the black killer serpent's body into several pieces. Done. He didn't need to look back. He knew it could no longer harm him. At this moment, Dojin noticed his gloves covered in its bodily fluids. Dojin saw that the sharp gloves weren't corroded by the snake's venom and praised them. For 300,000 won, these gloves are pretty damn good. He had defeated the creature, but Dojin didn't let down his guard. Realizing something, he quickly turned around. Another swarm of black killer serpents was rushing to attack him. Dojin's 300,000 won. Gloves made quick work of them, dispatching them one by one. One after another was torn to shreds. Their bodily fluids and venom splattered everywhere. After dealing with them, Dojin's body was still without a scratch. He approached their motionless bodies and used his sharp gloves to dig inside. Are there no magic stones in any of them? He disappointedly pulled his hand out. Dojin picked up his bag, preparing to leave, while thinking, if it's like the previous world, the magic stone drop rate from black killer serpents is about 3%. Such a low rate wouldn't deter Dojin's resolve. I'll have to catch a few hundred. Dojin exited the tunnel and entered a sunlit area full of vitality, but all around were piles of dry bones. Around the bones swirled strange black smoke. Dojin looked up at the large figure, casting a shadow over him, his expression emotionless. Are you the boss? In front of Dojin was the black killer serpent, larger and more ferocious than any he had ever seen. Dojin wasn't scared. He just calmly dropped his back, telling himself, anyway, I was lost, so this is better. Then he launched himself into the air, rushing towards the black killer serpent. His gloved hand clenched into a fist, drawn back in a ready stance. I should finish this quickly and go back. However, instead of shattering the boss's bones, Dojin's wrist was the one that took damage. He himself was very surprised by this development. Dojin looked at the deep handprint on the black killer serpent's head armor, endlessly surprised. My attack had no effect, while Dojin's attention was diverted. The boss seized the opportunity to whip its tail at it. Dojin, caught off guard, was not far away. He slumped his back against a rock that had lost several layers from the impact. While Dojin was trying to get up, the black killer serpent lunged again, its maw wide open, wanting to swallow him whole. However, even though it suddenly sped up its attack, with his quick reflexes, Dojin managed to dodge at the last second. He quickly regained his balance and found his footing on the ground. Dojin didn't hesitate and sped off, rushing forward with the intent to eliminate. The punch he threw cracked its belly armor. Dojin frowned slightly. Its entire body was still largely unscathed, making Dojin exclaim, just as expected, it's on a different level than the snakes. I fought inside. That thing's shell is too hard. My fist can't even penetrate it. He focused, observing. What should I do? If I could regain my strength, that thing would be finished. A glint of light caught Dojin's eye. He looked down at the sword stuck in the ground at his feet, then hesitated. This is... Dojin stared at it with a cold, suspicious gaze, full of doubt. After a moment, he closed his eyes, looking resigned. Dojin picked up the sword, which was enveloped in the black smoke, belonging to the deceased. It's old and battered, but I guess I have no other choice. No matter how old a sword is, its power depends on the wielder. He stepped forward slowly and whispered, this sword, the black killer serpent, had opened its maw wide, ready to swallow him whole. But Dojin just wanted to send a message to the sword's owner. Lend it to me for a moment. As soon as he finished speaking, he gathered momentum and leaped into the air, leaving a trail of white smoke where he'd stood. He did a flip in midair. I don't know if you can hear or understand, but he still said sarcastically before delivering the decisive blow, be honored, for I shall personally destroy you, snakehead. Dojin's gloved hand tightened its grip on the sword hilt a little more, preparing to channel his strength and bring the blade down on the black killer serpent. It growled fiercely and lunged. He decisively launched his attack, no less fiercely. A blinding flash of light erupted as Dojin's sword strike successfully pierced the beast's thick defenses. He let out a slight sigh. Then he became even more dismayed, seeing the state of the sword blade, broken, with only a fragment remaining. If I don't defeat it, it was a real disaster getting it. Then Dojin approached. The boss monster's body sprawled on the ground. He used his sharp gauntlets to take a part of it. In Dojin's hand was a giant fong, potentially usable as a weapon. It's a bit short for a greatsword, but if I sharpen it a little, it could be useful. With that done, Dojin slung his bag on and continued on his way. Anyway, I'm glad this is better than Namsan. It wasn't until it was completely dark and the full moon was high that he could finally leave. Dojin silently blamed himself, thinking about how much time he'd spent on a B-rank gate. He clenched his fists, silently resolving, restoring my strength is the top priority. Dojin looked up at the sky, silently imagining figures glad. His old comrades couldn't see his current state. When morning came, the Magic Stone Exchange Agency had opened and was accepting heroes. A customer came to the counter and placed on the table about 10 magic stones, taken from his bag. The employee facing him examined and assessed them. It seems you've collected some high-quality magic stones. As usual, our commission is 40%. The seller frowned and remarked, isn't that a bit too high? I'm a regular. Can't you give me a discount? The employee didn't change his decision. He pulled out a thick wad of cash and persuaded. You know our commission is the lowest out there, right? The portal management center alone charges a fixed 5% fee, and we don't even keep transaction records, so you don't have to pay taxes. After counting, the employee tied the wad of cash, placed it on the table, and pushed it towards the seller. If you think about it, this is a clean, hassle-free transaction at a great price. The seller picked up the wad of money and counted it, muttering incoherently. Then he looked at the employee's bruised face and asked hesitantly, but what happened to your face? Hearing the question, L became annoyed. Don't mention it. But then he told the story to vent his anger. Some psycho appeared out of nowhere and took down our guards, then did this to me. The seller sighed and shook his head. L, you were too complacent just because you had a C rank guard. I told you, rank doesn't mean much. What's important is practical skill. Rank is just for the convenience of officials. Real ability is a different story. If you think people of the same rank all have the same skills, you're completely wrong. The more he talked, the more animated he became, showing no signs of stop. There's a big difference between a guard who just got his license and watches a store, and a hero who risks his life hunting monsters. L felt tired and silently exclaimed, "Oh God, if you're done with the transaction, then please leave. Stop rambling." After a while, the seller having spoken his mind, slung his backpack on and left. We've known each other for a while, so if you need help, just call me. On his way out, he passed by a person walking in the opposite direction. This person was none other than Dojin, with a cold expression, heading towards the exchange counter. El was startled when he saw his terrifying face. Then he panicked, stepped back, and shouted, "It's him! That's the bastard who did this to me!" The seller who had just left heard this, stopped, and looked towards Dojin, exclaiming in surprise, "This guy? He's tall and looks pretty neat. And he caused trouble here." The seller's indifferent attitude suddenly did a 180-degree turn. He frowned, cracked his knuckles, and sneered. "Hey, you the one who caused trouble here, huh? Calling yourself a hero, and yet you beat up civilians? Don't you know? Heroes aren't allowed to lay a hand on ordinary people." El grinned smugly at the scene before him. That guy's a hero with 7 years of experience. He has tons of connections with heroes. So if you mess with him, El thought Dojin would be cautious, but no. He just uttered 2 words, "Get lost." The seller was stunned by these words. El, on the sidelines, felt gratified. Dojin tilted his head, looked at the seller, and asked, "You want revenge or something?" These words angered him. His fist clenched so tightly that veins popped out on his hands. "You little brat." But then a thought flashed through the seller's mind. Wait a minute, the number 1 cause of hero deaths is accidental fights with colleagues, not monsters. Clearly, I've encountered a dangerous situation. The 7-year veteran hero's intuition kicked in, and he trusted his instincts. So his attitude changed again. He coughed awkwardly a few times, then scratched his head sheepishly and left, much to El's surprise. "We'll meet again. Gotta run." Dojin glanced at El, who was speechless with surprise. His next words sent a shiver down El's spine. "Seems like you have a problem with me?" Without waiting for a reply, Dojin threw a backpack full of magic stones at El. After he caught the bag and glanced at its contents, Dojin ordered, "Calculated." El, after a quick look, broke out in a sweat, feeling apprehensive. Wait, high-grade magic stones. Who the hell is this guy? But he still had to do business, so he didn't hesitate any longer and started using his calculator. After sorting them, he announced, "The total is 150 million won." Dojin was inwardly disappointed. A whole day of hunting and only 150 million, but he still held out his hand. "Give me 150 million. El stammered, "Wait, we still need to deduct the commission." Dojin's dark expression made El jump. "Did I say something wrong?" Dojin let out a breath, chuckled, and nodded. "That's right. The commission is 1%. So, that's 148.5 million won. Hand it over." El imagined, flying to a rage, raising his fist and yelling, "You bastard. I said the commission is 40%. Are you deaf?" But in reality, all of this was just his vivid imagination. About that, for transactions over 100 million won, we need approval from management. Dojin's expression hardened. "Then go get it, right now." El took out his phone, dialed his manager, and quietly explained the situation to him. "Yes, boss, the situation is like this." But before he could finish, Dojin snatched the phone mid-conversation. He spoke directly to the boss in a tone as if he owned the place. "You heard that, right? Tell them to pay up." On the other end of the line, the boss, hearing his insolent tone, also mumbled and conceded, All right. I understand, but please give the phone back to the employee." Dojin, hearing that, threw it hard against the wall behind El, instead of returning it to him intact. El, horrified, glanced at his phone, pinned to the wall and shattered, breaking into a cold sweat. Dojin, not caring how El felt, urged him on. Your so-called manager just agreed. Now hand over the money. After that, El had no choice but to obediently prepare the bags, full of money. Yes. After receiving the money, Dojin happily left the shop. Before closing the door, without looking back, he advised, "Next time, maintain a polite attitude, okay?" El didn't dare look at him and wept silently, resentfully thinking, "Forcing others is polite, I'm sure." 10 minutes later, the shop door opened again. The boss hurriedly entered and asked El, who was at the counter, "Hey, why didn't you answer the phone? What was that call about earlier, boss?" Before him was an El, who had lost all his spirit, his head leaning against the wall. He looked at the ground with a distant gaze and blurted out, "Boss, I quit." Next to El was the phone, still not pulled out of the wall. "I can't take it anymore." The boss narrowed his eyes, assessing the situation. His next action snapped El out of his despondency. The boss picked up the phone and called someone. "Hey, Jiyun, it's your uncle. I need you to come here." On the other end, of the line was a girl with long, strikingly vibrant purple hair, incredibly eye-catching. Even though she was just strolling down the street, she drew everyone's attention. Yo! Yun walked step by step through the crowd that was gathering, growing larger and larger. Someone exclaimed in surprise. Isn't that Hyun? It really is Hyun. Ju Yun received a lot of attention, but her expression remained unchanged. Soon enough, Ju Yun arrived at the Magic Stone exchange shop. Hearing the bell, signaling a customer's arrival, El reflexively greeted them. When he saw the customer's appearance, he exclaimed in surprise and stammered, Hyun Ju Yun. She winked, smiled mischievously, and pushed up her glasses. Yes, that's right. I'm Hyun Ju Yun. El couldn't believe his eyes. Hyun Ju Yun, Korea's 4th S-rank female hero, even though I'd heard rumors that she's our boss's niece. But why is she here? At this moment, as she walked toward the chair, she explained, my uncle said he's got a headache because some hero strong-armed an employee over a magic stone transaction. Her face turned serious, befitting the demeanor expected of an S-rank hero. Could you explain the situation in detail? Dojin sat in a corner, meditating. Meanwhile, Unayon was sitting on the porch playing. He meditated under the midday sun, sweat dripping from his body. He started to worry. Even after hunting all day, I only earn a mere 100 million. At this rate, I won't make it in time. I need to be able to clear S-rank gates on my own as soon as possible. That means the most important thing right now is to restore my former strength. But unlike the world in the past, the energy in the air here is very thin. Even if I continue to absorb energy every day like this, it will take 3 years, no? Maybe even longer. Getting some decent equipment would also be good. But suddenly, Dojin jolted, sensing danger approaching. He looked towards Unayon. Dojin, with incredible speed, picked up the little girl and shouted, Unayon, we have to go inside. Both of them immediately ran into the house and shut the door tightly. Dojin's grandmother, startled, asked him, what's wrong, Dojin? The ground shook violently. The whole house felt like it was about to collapse, making Dojin's grandmother tremble and shout, oh, an earthquake. Is it an earthquake? Ion, terrified, clung tightly to his arm and screamed. In contrast to the little girl, Dojin remained calm, assessing the situation, thinking, no, it's not an earthquake. This is a spatial rift appearing. It slowly grew upwards. Soon, it stretched above their roof. Everyone else didn't know what was happening. Only Dojin knew what that earthquake was, a rift. His grandmother shouted worriedly, Dojin, what's going on? Without hesitation, he charged straight into the rift. It shouted loudly, Dojin, Appa. At the Seoul Hero Association building, an alarm signal sounded. An employee hastily reported to the captain. A new rift has been detected in Mapo. The captain muttered to himself, clutching his head. A new rift after 63 days, huh? Then, he waved his hand and ordered, Mapo, the White Lion Guild is the closest. Contact them immediately. Dispatch any heroes nearby immediately. The captain asked the employee, where exactly was the rift detected? He replied, in the yard of a private residence. The captain's face darkened after checking the coordinates. A private residence, this is a real headache. If a civilian, not a hero, enters a new rift, no one else can enter until they come out. He thought anxiously, and if they die inside, a wave of monsters will erupt from the rift area for 10 days. If that happens, the entire Seoul area will be devastated. As she identified who went inside, they quickly confirmed that. His name is Do Jun. He lives in the house where the crack appeared. She said he entered the crack, trying to save his younger sister. The captain asked again, so isn't he a hero then? When a civilian enters a new crack, what's the probability of a monster wave occurring? With this information, they determined a 99.9% probability. This made the situation even more complicated. The room immediately fell into a dreadful silence. A stack of documents was slammed onto the table. Hizu was extremely agitated. Arms crossed, she growled, awakened. Are you telling me Do Jun has awakened? Manager Lee, sweating profusely from fear, said he still hasn't registered with the Hero Association, but it's been confirmed that he awakened during the previous gate incident. Hizu, disbelieving her ears, yelled out, what the hell was Kong Chioli doing? She grew even more furious, slamming her hand on the table and ordering, he should have killed that bastard himself. Why let things get this complicated? And then he even took money for it? She roared with a threat. Manager Lee, Make this clear to that bastard Kong Chio Lee. If he doesn't kill that Du Jun fellow, he'll owe me 10 times the amount he was paid. But what Manager Lee was about to say surprised Hong Hee-ju. Perhaps there's no need to contact Kong Chio Lee anymore. She asked blankly, what do you mean? He explained, a new crack has appeared in Mapo. It's at Du Jun's house. We've confirmed he entered the crack. The media will soon report it. Hizu was extremely pleased to hear he would kick the bucket. Then I guess we'll never have to see that poor wretch again. Manager Lee agreed. That's right. Hizu calmed down, pondering intently. Finally, she sighed and ordered, monitor it until we're absolutely sure. He quickly replied, understood. Du Jun had to set foot in the forest. The sky inside the crack was also clear and blue. He took step after step deeper inside. Du Jun walked, murmuring to himself, unbelievable. Du Jun recalled his past. This is Petijua Forest, a place I often visited as child. This forest, from the trees and grass growing here to the wind, the abundant energy in the air, even the shape of the clouds in the sky, are all exactly the same. Du Jun followed his memories, muttering to himself, if I go this way. He chuckled softly, looking up. I knew it. Before him was a colossal world tree, with a stream of light emanating from the middle of its trunk. It was the source of an infinite flow of life force. The area around the tree was still brimming with vitality. Du Jun approached and touched the trunk. The collapse of the previous world. It all began when this tree was burned down, interrupting the flow of energy. But now, the world tree still stands firm. I don't know how. Du Jun was unsure of the cause, but he rejoiced inwardly. But I can regain the energy of that time. The next day, Du Jun meditated under that stream of mana. Du Jun felt the power growing clearer. He meditated, taking deep, rhythmic breaths. Du Jun sat there cultivating for a long time. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. I even forgot to eat and drink. Completely focused on my breath for 10 consecutive days. The only thing was he tried to regulate his breathing to harmonize with nature. Suddenly, Du Jun's eyes snapped open as if he sensed something. Countless monsters of bizarre shapes were standing before him. Bung Kina. They slowly advanced towards the world tree. The ones who burned the world tree in the past. The monsters frantically rushed to attack him. Du Jun looked at them with cold, sharp eyes. The beasts roared, approaching him. But now Du Jun had recovered. He wielded his power with abundant mana. It's all right. I'll crush them all. Du Jun reached out his hand towards them. A stream of blue energy enveloped his hand. With that power, he easily knocked down a monster. With a single touch, it shrieked in agony, a mournful sound. Du Jun's eyes now glowed entirely white, shining brightly, terrifying. The other monsters hesitated, not daring to approach him. The two sides remained in a standoff for a long while. An analytical diagram appeared in Du Jun's mind. Release energy. Release energy. Obtained in gaseous form and detonated. Sweat poured down his body. He whispered to himself, it's been a long time since I've used this much energy. Like this. The two remaining monsters gathered energy in their mouths. They simultaneously counterattacked with laser beams, shooting straight at him. Du Jun stood there calmly, coldly watching the laser beams before him, yet they were completely blocked. There was no way they could touch him. Du Jun took slow steps, advancing towards the monsters. I've confirmed the safety of the world tree. He looked at them with a cold smile. Now I should test my energy with my own eyes. Du Jun warmed up his limbs, preparing for his own performance. They began to gather energy to fire laser beams. Again, quick as lightning, he reached out and grabbed the mouths of the two monsters. The energy they were about to spew was forced back down their throats. Ultimately, they exploded from within. Purple flames erupted, engulfing their heads. A moment later, they had turned into charred corpses, slowly crumbling into dust. 2 glowing red mana stones fell to the ground from them. They're not enough, huh? So he nonchalantly walked towards the remaining group. Then Du Jun smirked, muttering to himself, if I finish dealing with all of you. His eyes gleamed with excitement. I might also get an ember of eternity, right? Du Jun smiled with satisfaction, ferociously attacking them. I vaguely recall, with a fairly high probability, how many of you will actually produce one. And so, he defeated one after another. They were taken down by him in succession. Until nightfall, Du Jun stood on a tree, looking at his results. This time, Du Jun had hit the jackpot among the mana stones. He bent down and picked up the glowing gold coin. Du Jun whispered. Ember of eternity. He crushed it in his hand. I didn't expect to get this again. Du Jun made the ember erupt into flames on his hand. He played with the flame. He looked at the powerful energy rising from his hand. It would be great if I could receive more energy from the world tree. But with my current body, I can't absorb any more energy from it. The only feasible method currently available. Du Jun had a bold idea. He introduced the flame into his body. Absorb this ember and transform my energy into fire energy. In an instant, intense energy radiated from it. Du Jun parted his lips and breathed out a flame. In the past, I wouldn't even bother using this stuff. He was speechless at his past self, who back then would have brushed off the ember without a second thought. Then Du Jun swung his arm. Next, he went to where a series of mana stones and embers had fallen around him. There were now piles of glowing embers. He thought to himself, I'll continue to absorb as many as possible. Crowds gathered beneath the spatial crack. The police were present. Reporters also took the opportunity, vying to capture this scoop. Someone gritted their teeth and cursed. Damn it. Bang CEO, you looked up, annoyed. What the hell is this? All because of one madman. Kim Hyun-yu also stepped forward to explain the reason. He was trying to save his younger sister. CEO, you heard this and didn't believe it. That's just what he said. He heard a rumor that awakening in a crack zone is very easy. So without thinking of anyone else, he just rushed in. If he dies, he should die alone. What the hell is this? Hyun-yu suddenly turned and asked, what did Juma Hyung say? Song-yu relayed according to instructions. He just said to wait for the wave. CEO, you also found it confusing. But why? But Hyun-yu quickly offered a reasonable explanation. Juma Hyung must be busy because of that. This is the first time something like this has happened. But they've managed to control it quickly. Hyun-yu could only smile. Meanwhile, CEO, you still felt his anger flare. But we're the ones in trouble. All because of that useless bastard. He raised his fist. That guy who went in first, come out. I'll beat you black and blue. The crack continued to widen. The news anchor reported on the situation at the scene. It has been 28 days since the new crack appeared. The Hero Association has declared a level 1 monster wave. The news broadcast showed a blurred photo of Du Jun in the case of Civilian S, who entered first and has not come out for 2 days. Someone holding a remote decisively turned off the TV. Trang Shop, smoking a cigarette, spoke up and asked, that person S, is it Du Jun, right Kim Aon-gu? His right-hand man replied respectfully, yes boss. I have my subordinates confirm. It's definitely Du Jun. Trang Shop began to ask a challenging question. In your opinion, what's the probability that bastard returns alive? Ian-gu immediately gestured wildly. If he's a civilian, no need to talk about a 1% chance. No, not even 0.1%. Hearing this answer, Trang Shop, laughed. Nearly a civilian. Ridiculous. His injured subordinates, heavily bandaged, could only bow their heads and listen to his mockery. You fools. That damned Hero Association doesn't have enough information and is completely mistaken. Trang Shop posed a hypothesis. What if he's an awakened? Aon-gu continued to humor his eccentric boss. If he's an awakened, it would depend on his hero rank. Honestly, it's hard to make a judgment. Trang Shop leaned back in his chair. Well, being good at fighting and surviving in a crack are two different things. Suddenly, he asked a very unrelated question. Du Jun has 2 relatives left, right? Hearing this, Aon-gu was startled. What are you planning to do with them? Du Jun's remaining relatives are only his younger sister and grandmother. Fortunately, Trang Shop, didn't have any plans to harm them yet. For now, just keep them safe. However, Trang Shop never played the good guy. If he dies, we'll sell his relatives' organs. If he returns, we'll say we took care of them and saddle him with the debt. At the World Tree, inside the crack, lay an incredibly abundant source of energy. Du Jun's body surged with mana, circulating as if about to explode. He looked at his hand, wondering, how long has it been? Ember of eternity. I've absorbed hundreds of them. Now I can use fire system mana whenever I want. My fire resistance has increased significantly. If we only consider the fire attribute, it's a superior state compared to when I was called the Sword God. He gently touched the rough trunk of the tree. Du Jun told himself, in the past, and even now, the tree seemed to sparkle at his words. Thank you, World Tree. Then he bowed, picking up each mana stone into a mesh bag. Du Jun slung the bag over his shoulder, bidding farewell to the tree. I might never see you again. He made a promise for a reunion. But if we meet again and you are in danger, Du Jun resolved, I will protect you at all costs. It was late at night. A full moon hung starkly in the sky. Du Jun slowly emerged from the crack. Then he landed gently on the ground. He carefully sensed his surroundings. No signs within a 1-kilometer radius. But there was a slightly stronger presence in this direction. He immediately dashed off. Ahead, Sung-yu and Hyun-yu were standing guard. Du Jun carefully hid behind them. He frowned, speculating based on their attire. They must be from the same group as those people from the gate. Last time, it'll be troublesome if I get caught. Du Jun gathered a spark of fire in his palm. He threw the spark forcefully in one direction. The spark landed on the roof of a building. Everything returned to darkness. Only a faint glimmer of light flashed. Suddenly, the spark erupted into a large explosion, causing a tremor. Hyun-yu was startled by the situation. What was that? What was that sound? Sung-yu quickly observed where the sound came from. It's fire. They quickly approached the scene. By now, several bewildered citizens stood before the fire, which was growing larger. Amidst the panicked crowd, Sung-yu couldn't help but be suspicious. What the hell? What's going on? Why is there a fire here? Du Jun, now standing in a hidden corner, assessed the situation. The nature and target accuracy of the fire are both very good. He spoke to himself. Kusag, doesn't this fire impress even you? You must be very pleased. After all, you're the strongest fire mage of the 6 realms. Hyun-yu, standing before the fire, suddenly realized something. He turned his head to observe. Wait a minute. Hyun-yu observed the crack in the sky. The crack is strange. Sung-yu was also startled to hear that. That crack was gradually vanishing. The two tried to run back. They realized it was too late. What's happening? The crack. Sung-yu couldn't believe his eyes. The crack. He stared at the scene before him, dumbfounded. The crack was disappearing. Over here, Du Jun quietly walked away. He glanced back one last time with a determined look. A modern city appeared before his eyes. News announcements echoed throughout the city. Breaking news. The new rift that appeared in Mapo disappeared early this morning. The female news anchor on a large building screen delivered the information. Exactly 29 days after Mr. Cell entered the Rift Zone, the Hero Association, who had predicted a monster wave, was surprised by the sudden disappearance and is conducting a thorough investigation into the cause. Bustling pedestrians on the street below looked up, listening intently to the information from the large broadcast. Meanwhile, a fire of unknown origin also broke out near the rift at a local junkyard. Those listening to the news murmured amongst themselves. That guy, that Cell guy, must have died after entering the rift, right? Serves him right. It's common sense to stay away from rifts when they appear. Du Jun silently pulled up his hood and slipped past. Their words made him pay attention. Anyway, someone died. Do you need to say it like that? Don't be so naive. If the rift hadn't closed, Seoul would have turned into a battlefield. Du Jun walked against the bustling crowd, thinking idly, if it really disappeared, does that mean I'll never see the world tree again? It's a pity, but maybe it's for the best. He adjusted his sun-shielding cap, looking up hesitantly at the clear blue, sun-drenched sky. Du Jun stood before an old, dilapidated building, silently determined. I still have something I need to protect. Inside, 2 thugs were laughing and talking, puffing out cigarette smoke. The burly one in the yellow shirt sneered smugly. That bastard is dead, so the old woman and the kid are done for too. The bald one chimed in. Of course. The boss isn't an ordinary person. He'll squeeze at least 10 times their worth out of them. The guy took a drag from his cigarette, smirking. The old woman, whatever, but that little girl, she could turn out quite pretty when she grows up. The boss has probably already figured out how to use her. Suddenly, a voice rang out, making the 2 thugs whirl around. Hey! The man had his hands in his pockets, his face grim, eyes sharp and cold, as he spoke in a low voice. Where's your boss? Outside the old building, a black car screeched to a halt. A man wearing expensive leather shoes stepped out of the car, humming incessantly. Zhang Shop, fully clad in a suit, smoothed his hair and casually walked in. Behind him was his close bodyguard, Aeon Gu. He laughed heartily, satisfied. That guy's dead. I can finally sleep peacefully. Zhang Shop asked. Kim, what's on the schedule today? Aeon Gu carefully flipped through his notebook and quickly replied. Lunch with CEO Beck. No plans for the evening. He turned back, slightly adjusting his glasses, and raised an eyebrow confidently. Is that so? Then contact Ms. Kong and tell her I'll visit tonight. Tell her to get the new girls made up too. Aeon Gu obediently replied, yes, sir. Then, The two slowly walked up the stairs. Jang Shop's eyes widened in astonishment at the scene before him. A henchman was sent flying, managing only a single cry. The two newcomers froze, stunned. Jang Shop's glasses were knocked askew. His eyes filled with unconcealed shock and confusion. A moment later, he was knocked to the floor with a thud, too pained to even think of resisting. Jang Shop coughed violently, looking at Du Jun, standing before him, exuding an oppressive aura. His eyes seemed to want to take the other's life as he growled out each word, "Crawl here like a dog." Hearing this, he trembled like a leaf, his face drenched in sweat. Du Jun sat on the chair, casually crossing his legs and placing them on the table. With a thud, Jang Shop cowered, his face growing even more terrified as he heard Du Jun's threat. "Didn't you hear what I said?" In the room, he knelt on the ground, subdued. The atmosphere was tense and silent. Du Jun's cold face was partly hidden by his cap. He ordered sharply and decisively, "Bark, a scumbag like you doesn't even deserve to be treated like a human." Du Jun yelled, "Bark like a dog." Jang Shop knelt, head bowed, face contorted in fear, remaining silent. The chair spun quickly. A faint bark escaped. In pain, he cast aside his dignity. His face distorted as he barked loudly and repeatedly. The barks continued ceaselessly. The two thugs, initially as meek as puppies, now faced the wall, not daring to make a sound. Du Jun sat on the chair in front of Jang Shop, who was kneeling on the ground, and continued, louder. Du Jun, like a superior being, spoke calmly, but ready to stab you in the back the moment they get a chance. He rested his hand on his thigh, his eyes glinting menacingly, threatening Jang Shop. "Do you think this is the first time I've dealt with rats like you?" Jang Shop groveled on the ground, head bowed, crying and begging, "Please spare my life. I'll be loyal as a dog." Du Jun kicked him upwards with one foot, angrily shouting, "Shut up." Jang Shop lay on the ground in pain, his face contorted, limbs curled, clenching his teeth in agony. Suddenly, Du Jun called out softly, making Aeon-gu jump. "You with the glasses." He crossed his arms, turning his face away, and sighed, instructing, "From now on, you're the boss. Don't work like a dog under scum like this anymore." He looked at Jang Shop, writhing in pain on the ground, and asked, "Dealing with a superior isn't a big deal. For you guys, is it?" Aeon-gu pursed his lips tightly, tense. Du Jun ordered as if giving a sacred decree, "You have my permission. Do it." Aeon-gu bowed deeply at a 90-degree angle, nervously revealing, "But our boss has many connections. If I suddenly become the boss, everyone will think something's wrong." He looked up, sweating with fear. "Instead, please spare him just this once." Du Jun's face hardened, displeased as he scolded, "Why are you so stupid? Stuff him in a drum and dump him in the sea, or crush him at the junkyard. Isn't that your gang's specialty?" His next sentence directly made the group of them tremble, their faces paling in terror. "If you really don't want to do it, I can throw you all into the gate as monster feed." Jang Shop struggled to his knees, kowtowing and begging, "Please just spare my life. Just spare my life. I'll work like a dog for the rest of my life." Du Jun merely glanced at him. He persisted, continuously begging for forgiveness. "I swear, I beg you." Du Jun felt helpless and dejected, thinking eliminating Jang Shop here would solve everything neatly. He sighed in frustration. "Have I gone soft?" Then he extended his hand towards him. "All right." Jang Shop, as if grabbing a lifeline, his eyes lit up with a glimmer of hope. He tremblingly reached out and took Du Jun's hand, remorsefully. "I've been wrong all this time. From now on, I will serve you like a He stared in surprise and confusion. The fire on Jang Shop's hand gradually spread, growing more intense. He let out a blood-curdling scream of pain. Du Jun watched without blinking, his voice slow. "This is your last chance." The fire from his hand had incinerated half of his arm. The burnt part of the arm, blackened, lay on the ground, turning to ash. Du Jun coldly stood up and left, leaving Jang Shop kneeling on the ground behind him, screaming in agony. He glanced back once, his eyes as sharp as a knife, warning, "If even a single scratch appears on any of my family members, you will all die. You will guard them 24/7 for the rest of your lives." Officially, Du Jun was an existence that had disappeared along with a rift. At a W.C. Donald store, inside, young Ion was eating a hamburger with Du Jun. The government, the Hero Association, and all kinds of media had treated Du Jun as if he were dead. His hand scrolled through news about himself on his phone. Du Jun's face reflected on the screen, looking helpless, thinking, Even if I tell them I'm alive, it would only bring trouble. Do-jun rested his chin on his hand, smiling gently as he watched the little girl eat with relish. Jang's shop will help us find a new house soon. So, let's move at a leisurely pace. Thanks to Appa, I get to eat delicious food, young Ion said, her eyes crinkling as she ate heartily. The little girl smiled brightly, happily. That's great. Now we're moving. He sat opposite her, revealing, you can go to kindergarten like other kids, and next year you'll go to school too. However, young Ion's face fell, looking dejected and gloomy. Do-jun was startled and confused, asking, why? Don't you want to go to kindergarten? The little girl replied sadly, oh, the other kids tease me for not having parents. Hearing this, he froze for a few seconds. Do-jun looked down, heartbroken, silent. Young Ion, softly Appa. Do-jun, with a reassuring smile, told her, Appa's fine. You don't have to go. You don't need to meet those kind of jerks. You can go to school next year. The little girl looked at him happily. Really? I don't have to go to kindergarten? Do-jun replied gently, yeah, you don't have to go. At the same time, he was frowning thoughtfully. Should I send her to a prestigious private school so no one dares to look down on her? Meanwhile, young Ion was blissfully enjoying her meal. Do-jun recalled the previous night. When he met Aeon-gu at the motel, he scolded him angrily. You put an old woman and a child in a motel. Do-jun couldn't help but raise his voice. Are you an idiot? Aeon-gu cowered, trying to find a reasonable explanation. This motel is managed by our company, so it's safe. Do-jun cut him off. Forget it. Inside the room, young Ion saw Do-jun and exclaimed joyfully, Appa, you're here. The little girl rushed over and threw herself into his arms. His grandmother, standing to one side, saw Do-jun and clasped her hands in relief. Do-jun, child, you've really returned safely. Do-jun, young Ion, in his arms, couldn't help but sob. Appa. Do-jun was momentarily stunned to see someone care for him so much. He smiled faintly. Yes, Grandma, I'm back. Back in the present. The little girl tilted her head and asked, Appa, are you a hero too? Do you like that I'm a hero? The little girl grimaced. No, I wish you weren't a hero. Do-jun found it hard to understand. Why? When Ion explained. Because heroes fight scary monsters and sometimes die. A different, beautiful vision of life. Only 3 people appeared in the little girl's mind. I just hope Appa will live with me and Grandma for a very long time. A very long time. These sincere words surprised Do-jun. He was speechless. He bowed his head low, feeling he had failed the little girl's expectations. When Ion, noticing his quiet demeanor, called out Appa, in Do-jun's mind, the little girl's words replayed. I hope Appa will live with me and Grandma for a very long, long time. But the reality was too painful. In the harsh world of the past, I was the last survivor. He had to constantly fight to survive. I spent a long time fighting monsters, losing many things. But Do-jun had found a place to return to, a family to protect and love. Before I knew it, something precious had appeared by my side, even though I had long forgotten them. He was able to live a normal life, a warm family. Here, in this place, I thought I could live happily, silently protecting this happiness. But it seems like it won't last long. In the days that followed, the city returned to its rhythm, bustling as usual, in a skyscraper. This was the Korean Hero Association. An elegant man stood on a high floor of the building, coldly observing the scene below. You really couldn't find anything? Na Tae-hong, founder of the Korean Hero Association, director of the World Hero Federation. The secretary behind him bowed her head nervously. No, we don't have any information about the current situation. I'm sorry, Tae-hong said coolly. How disappointing. Does that mean the rift disappeared on its own? It could reappear at any time. The secretary anxiously replied, precisely. When variables appear, it's very dangerous. If only a monster wave had occurred. He interrupted her. Watch your words. Tae-hong fiercely turned his head and glared at her. Considering the safety of the citizens, this is a fortunate outcome. The secretary hastily corrected herself. I apologize. I misspoke. A brief introduction about him. Na Tae-hong, one of the 100 most respected heroes in the world. He was a man in a leadership position. It was said that he would be elected president with the highest number of votes in history if he ran for office, and he could easily overthrow major domestic corporations if he wanted to, but his interests did not lie in the presidency or corporations, but in the safety of the people and preparation for the rifts. His anger gradually subsided. He said in a low voice, "Even if it takes time, investigate thoroughly again." The secretary, regaining her composure, replied, "Understood, and the residents in the Rift area have agreed to sell their homes." Tae-hong nodded. "I see." He thought of the houses that had been built, but had to be vacated for safety. Offer them a price higher than the market rate, so they don't feel disappointed. It will be good if it brings some calm. For to those who have lost their families. After making the arrangements, Tae-hong returned to his work. He typed a search query on his computer. Suddenly, a prominent piece of information caught Tae-hong's attention. On the screen was a map of red alert zones. People, say the rifts. This time also occurred simultaneously in other countries. Something's not right. The secretary wondered. In China, haven't they already entered a control phase? He mentioned another name. The problem is the UK. Tae-hong's voice showed clear concern. Reliable heroes have been dispatched to the other rifts. Another news item appeared on the notification bar. His eyes narrowed. He exclaimed in shock. Impossible. The secretary looked at Tae-hong. Is something wrong, sir? A quick announcement was made. Urgent news from the World Hero Federation. Monster wave occurred at the rift in the UK. What he feared had finally happened. The rift in the UK. At a crossroads. Everyone was busy with their own affairs. Do-jun, dressed discreetly with his hood pulled low, walked forward calmly with a serious expression. A shop opened along the road, a sign. Announcement caught his eye. The door of the Magic Stone purchasing shop swung open. Yo, not too friendly, still said hello. When he looked closely and saw it was Do-jun, he screamed in fear. EO stammered, trembling, "Manager, that bastard, it's this guy." Hearing this, Do-jun glanced at the person, the manager, calmly reading a newspaper nearby. The manager slammed the newspaper in his hand down. "Is this the guy?" The manager stood up and asked in a menacing tone, "Are you the one? The one who forced the sale of magic stones when I was away?" Do-jun calmly took the backpack off his shoulder. "Perfect. Today I have a lot of magic stones to sell, so I hope there's someone with enough high-ranking authority to handle it immediately." After saying this, Do-jun threw the backpack heavily onto the ground. The manager looked at the backpack, rolling on the floor with disdain. He probably brought a pile of low-grade magic stones again, unprocessed, just like last time. Thinking this, he said in a low voice, "We don't do business with you. Please leave." Do-jun calmly reminded him, "You don't do business, huh?" The manager turned away, feigning disinterest. "You don't seem to know, but a 1% commission fee causes a huge loss. We will not deal with you anymore. So take your things and leave." Do-jun chuckled. "You'll regret this." The manager still had no intention of making a deal. You don't listen to reason at all. There's a reason even the gate center charges a commission fee of 5%. The magic stone distribution structure. No need for such explanations. The manager turned his head and glared at him. "Take your bag and leave immediately, and don't ever come back." Do-jun didn't continue to explain. Instead, he walked over and kicked the backpack. Instantly, red magic stones spilled all over the floor. The employee, EO, saw them and his eyes widened in astonishment. The manager couldn't hide his shock either. He stared at the sparkling red magic stones on the floor, unable to believe his eyes. No way. Are those hero-grade magic stones? Why are there hero-grade magic stones? Worth more than anything here? Do-jun stood aside, arms crossed, smirking. "If you don't want them, then forget it. It must be known that this is an extremely rare type of stone. Hero-grade magic stone. Previously, in some old laboratory, Guzman, a notorious drug lord in Mexico, had decomposed magic stones to produce drugs. Then, things didn't go too well as the solution immediately exploded. But right at that moment, a glorious moment occurred. The magic stone's potential erupted, and he awakened as a hero. Since then, this magic stone became famous as an essential item for Awaken. Heroes, or enhancing magical power. This magic stone is called the hero-grade magic stone. It is both a hard-to-find energy source and an incredibly expensive commodity. The manager and the employee were dazzled, seeing such high-grade items scattered all over the floor. Do-jun paid little attention to their attitude. He said coolly, "Pack them up. I'm leaving." The manager rushed over, eagerly rubbing his hands. "My dear customer, could you please sit and wait a moment?" Just a moment later, all the magic stones were neatly arranged and carefully wiped clean. Meanwhile, Do-jun sat calmly in one spot, happily sipping tea that had just been served to him. On the other side, the manager began to negotiate softly. "Sir," he held out his hand. Don't you think a 0.5% commission fee for us is a bit much too low? Do-jun's face darkened. If you don't like it, forget it. The manager quickly corrected himself. It's not that I don't like it. I was just curious. Although he said that, sweat poured down his forehead like a stream. Why did you want to change it to 0.5%? Do-jun calmly reminded him. Because you were too noisy. Hearing this, the manager kowtowed vigorously several times. I'm truly sorry. I was thoughtless. Do-jun glanced at him coldly. I'm tired of apologies. Just tell me, do you accept that commission rate? Eo stood on the other side, seeing his manager being so subservient he couldn't help but curse inwardly. Damn it, that insufferable bastard. He really has no manners at all. The manager finally had to resign himself to it. All right, the manager immediately launched into a long speech about the rarity and market price of the magic stones for him to hear. Do-jun interrupted him again with a complaint. Too long. He couldn't stand it and stood up, turning away. If you don't like it, forget it. The manager ran after him, tried to hold him back. 9% for us. We're really taking a loss. Do-jun replied coldly. Then don't take a loss. The manager shouted, 8%. If the owner finds out about this, he'll really beat me to death. Do-jun showed no concern. Don't do things that will get you beaten. The manager continued to lower his demand. 7%. I can't concede anymore. Do-yun sighed. No one asked you to concede. The man begged again. 6%. There's really no profit left. Do-jun frowned. How can a merchant survive without profit? This endless conversation made Eo completely dejected. Finally, the manager collapsed and knelt. Do-jun, feeling some pity for him, offered another number. Considering our past relationship, I will accept 1% for you. In his heart, the manager was cursing Do-jun relentlessly. What a daylight robber. But outwardly, he gritted his teeth and endured it. Do-jun, seeing him still hesitating, chuckled softly. I'll tell you in advance. The next sentence made both the manager and Eo widen their eyes in fear. I have about 7 more bags like this. The manager hurriedly ordered. Hey, what are you doing just standing there dawdling? Bring the contract here quickly. Eo quickly ran off. Yes. Do-jun looked at the 67 billion number in his bank account. He thought pensively, at this rate, the 110 billion won house won't be too far off anymore. Do-jun frowned. The problem is to get high-grade magic stones. Gates aren't enough. He silently recalled the previous rift. If only I could freely move through rift areas. Suddenly, an alert sound blared from Do-jun's phone, making the manager jump in panic. Turning his head, the manager, sweating coldly, looked at him inquiringly. What's this? Is a monster wave? Do-jun calmly glanced at it. An administrative warning message from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs about a new monster wave had just been sent to his phone. Oh, it's in the UK. I thought. His gaze flickered slightly as he looked up. Do-jun's eyes lit up. He pretended to be uninterested and turned to leave. Do-jun walked down the street, his mind full of thoughts. In the past, regardless of which country or association was involved, I would go and seal the rifts. But not anymore. In a barbecue restaurant, the meat sizzled as it was placed on the grill. Un-ion drooled in anticipation, looking at the meat. He, Do-jun, had brought his 2 family members to the barbecue restaurant for a lavish meal. His grandmother looked at the menu and frowned. Do-jun, 250,000 won for 100 grams. Isn't that a bit expensive? He calmly sipped some water. I earn a lot of money this time, Grandma. Don't worry. Just eat as much as you like. Un-ion didn't care much. She was too busy enjoying the meat. When a piece was put into her mouth, her taste buds immediately exploded. Un-ion puffed her cheeks in delight. Although she didn't say delicious, her expression made everyone else crave it. Grandma was still a little worried, looking at the meat, hesitant to touch it with her chopsticks. Do-jun, on the other hand, just ate calmly. He called the server. We'll have 4 servings each of premium imported charcoal-grilled fresh ribs, oxtail, and bird's nest. Grandma hesitated. That's why Do-jun laughed freely. Eat your fill today, Grandma. You eat too, please. Grandma sighed deeply. Oh, dear. Un-ion, seeing this, brought a piece of meat to Grandma's mouth. The little girl happily offered. Grandma, the meat is so delicious. You have to try it too, Grandma. Only then did Grandma agree to open her mouth. Our Un-ion is such a good child. As soon as the meat entered her mouth, despite her reluctance, Grandma found it surprisingly delicious. After that, all 3 of them immersed themselves in the warm, happy meal. Just then, the elegant Jian entered the shop. She had long purple hair, a attracting everyone's gaze with her beauty. Jian suddenly called out, making him turn his head. Mr. Dojin? She approached, bowing her head slightly to look at him. Can we talk for a moment? Jian's eyes were full of sincerity. So, you're the hero. Dojin bluntly cut her off. Can't you see I'm eating with my family? He unpleasantly threw a sharp glance at Jian. If you have something to say, come back after I'm done eating. This cold statement stunned her. Jian, in turn, looked at him, annoyed. I am Hyun Jian. You know that, right? However, she remained silent, stepped back, and waited. All right then. But inwardly, she was cursing Dojin. Who is this guy to ignore me like that? A long period of waiting ensued. Jian sat quietly and properly on the chair, waiting. Meanwhile, everyone in the restaurant couldn't help but be curious. The young men blushed looking at her. The young women also looked at Jian with admiration. Whispers and chatter kept reaching her ears. That's Hyun Jian, right? S-class hero and world star Hyun Jian. Yes, she totally deserves to be on the list of the top 10 most beautiful heroes in the world. However, people wondered, but who is she waiting for? Making Hyun Jian wait. Who could be that important? The more she heard, the angrier she became. CEO Dojin. 2 months ago was the first time he entered a gate, and he came out alive. Jian silently looked at his back. People suspect he awakened that night. He was presumed dead in the recent Mapo crack incident, but Dojin was still engrossed in his meal, oblivious. He's alive and eating right here. She remembered his sharp words from before. Just one look, one word from him made me tense. But for a newly awakened person to reach S-class in less than 2 months, even the oil tycoon Kafmo, who aggressively bought magic stones, took 5 years to reach S-class after awakening. This thought made Jian involuntarily shiver. No way that guy is S-class. He must have some special ability. Suddenly, she shot up, causing the chair to move and make a loud noise. Jian, once again silent, approached Dojin, but before she could reach him, a man blocked her way in front of his family. Dojin frowned, looking coldly at the man. Gao Xiaoyu grinned contemptuously, mocking him. What's this? Dojin? So, I wasn't imagining things. How the hell did you crawl out of that gate? Dojin silently looked at the man, Kong Xiaoyu. The man approached threateningly. I knew you were a cockroach, but I didn't think you were a real cockroach. This sudden appearance startled Jian. In front of everyone. Kong Xiaoyu now? While the man was searching for words to insult Dojin, she calmly approached. But Xiaoyu, oblivious, continued his thuggish behavior. Dojin didn't answer him, but looked past him to ask Jian, Hey, you said you needed to see me, right? Only then did Xiaoyu notice her. Huh, Hyun Jian? What? Dojin proposed. I'll listen to what you have to say. Just take care of my family for a bit. She was surprised. What exactly do you need? He glanced at the 2 people behind him. Just call a taxi and take them home. Jian suddenly felt a sense of dread looking at Dojin at that moment. His voice was low, his face darkened. I have some debts to collect. Xiaoyu on the other side also put on a ferocious expression, ready to pounce and fight. At this moment, in a restaurant under the serene, full moon, Jian approached and opened the car door for Unayon. She spoke reassuringly. Don't worry too much, just get in. Jian looked at the little girl outside through the glass and waved. Goodbye to this adorable little girl, too. The car started to move, but she still kept that smile on her face. Then, gradually, the car's silhouette blurred on the deserted road. The scene then shifts to Dojin. He, with a serious face, swung his arm to everyone's bewilderment. Xiaoyu's eyes widened. On his cheek was a clear mark from Dojin's recent strike. The man, enraged, turned his face towards him, gritting his teeth as if he wanted to eat him alive. You damn bastard. Xiaoyu's men exuded an immense amount of killing intent. The waitress, seeing things had gone too far, reminded them, Hey, customers, if you do that here, then... The waitress's words were like water off a duck's back. He roughly shoved her away, cursing, Get lost. The waitress, pushed to the ground, couldn't help but feel pain. The man ran straight towards Dojin, causing panic among everyone in the restaurant. Get out now. Xiaoyu, seeing Dojin's indifferent expression, became even angrier and roared. You want to die? You really want to die, you bastard? He had just finished his sentence when an arm reached his face. Dojin, with a serious face, delivered a powerful kick to Xiaoyu, sending him sprawling. The rage within Xiaoyu grew larger and larger. His eyes reddened as he whipped his head towards him. But not for long. Xiaoyu had to kneel, clutching his face, enduring the tormenting pain. At this point, Dojin, now somewhat angry, called his name calm. Xiaoyu. He began to interrogate. You took me to the gate and locked me in to die, right? The man listened, bowing his head, clutching his bloodied face, speechless. Wrinkles gradually appeared on Dojin's face. He glared at Cheon-yu and continued to speak. We have a lot to talk about, don't we? The man's face slowly contorted as he caustically replied. What is there to say to a bastard like you, abandoned by your own father? Your stepmother told you to go die, you know. Dojin suddenly held up his phone. Then he pressed the record button. Dojin, with a cold face, looked up at the man with contemptuous eyes, then challenged. Say that again. Cheon-yu was so furious, it was like smoke was coming out from between his clenched teeth. He prepared to strike with a fiery fist. Cheon-yu asked again, say what? Immediately, he advanced towards Dojin in a very dangerous state, yelling, that your mother's a whore. His voice echoed. Die here, Dojin. Suddenly, Dojin emitted a mysterious light. After that, it was as if Dojin was recharged with power. He calmly observed the man's attack and blocked it with one hand. Just from that one block, Cheon-yu was sent flying into the air, his face frozen in shock. After a few seconds, Cheon-yu, stunned, realized his fist had been deflected. Dojin silently launched his second attack. This time, power gradually gathered in his hand. Then it shot straight into Cheon-yu's stomach, sending him crashing into the wall behind. Without letting Cheon-yu get up, Dojin lunged forward again, his eyes filled with killing intent. Gusts of wind were generated by the blows he delivered. The waitress at the reception counter, watching the scene, started crying audibly. The police. What's the police number again? 112. Right at this moment, his blood also gushed out profusely. She approached the fight, thinking to herself, Kang Cheon-yu is also a B-class hero, and yet he's being overpowered so easily. Now Juyin started to walk faster. Various thoughts about Dojin kept popping into her head. B-class or higher? No, A-class or higher. Even if he is A-class, can he really overwhelm a B-class to this extent? As Dojin was about to press his attack, Juyin called out, making him pause. CO Dojin, she warned seriously. If you do that, you'll be done for. Dojin frowned, his anger clearly visible. Then he stomped his foot hard, leaving Cheon-yu lying there incapacitated, and walked away. Juyin looked up at him worriedly, wondering, this person, how much does he know about Kang Cheon-yu? Dojin turned back and replied, I think I know pretty much what I need to know. Why? Is that important? She sighed and affirmed, it's very important. She recalled the image of Kang Yunpyo, who possessed a very muscular physique and exuded an extremely dangerous aura. Because Kang Cheon-yu's cousin is the S-class hero, Kang Yunpyo. He looked at her with a cold face and replied, I know. Is there a problem? Jian looked at his emotionless face in disbelief. He already knew, and he still maintains that reckless attitude. This man is truly reckless. Suddenly, Cheon-yu's battered face appeared in her mind, along with Julian's assessment. That arrogant Kang. Cheon-yu has been able to run rampant all this time because Kang Yunpyo protected him. So Dojin's actions now were truly very dangerous for him. Hearing her, he chuckled softly. I know a little about the feud between you two, but thinking that Kang Yunpyo will understand that is a mistake. Jian felt a sense of unease and immediately asked him, Kang Yunpyo, you're not afraid of Kang Yunpyo, are you? Dojin moved closer to her and warned, and the fact that you know quite a lot about me is starting to annoy me, you know. After speaking, he directed a murderous gaze at Julian. Seeing this, she pressed her lips together and looked back. The waitress, hiding behind the counter, cried resentfully, You said you'd take care of it. After a long moment, Julian spoke first. Sorry for the sudden visit. My uncle asked me for a favor. She got to the main point. You went to Gason Stoneman to sell magic stones, right? Sell that badge to me. Dojin raised an eyebrow, wondering about the quantity Jian wanted to buy. How much? She replied nonchalantly. All of it. Whatever Mr. Dojin is holding, I'll buy it all. He smiled, affirming, that's quite a large amount. But Jian was not to be outdone. She put on a sly expression and said boldly, an S-class hero's assets are more than you can imagine. Suddenly, Dojin looked at Cheon-yu's battered face and his pathetic state, then made a request. Nothing is unsellable, but I have a condition. Julian, surprised, repeated, a condition. Dojin let out a sly laugh and affirmed, it's nothing big. It's something Hyun Julian can do easily. Now, the scene changes to Heeju. Suddenly, she threw a wine bottle to the floor, shattering it. Heeju, holding another wine bottle, angry and somewhat surprised. They said he was dead. They said he entered the new crack and died. As soon as she finished, Hee-ju threw the wine bottle in her hand at a statue before the resigned eyes of Manager Lee. He looked sad and hurried. A hand reached out and snatched her phone. Yes. Julian, radiant, took the phone and spoke reassuringly. Please rest assured, I will handle this. Julian's appearance was nothing short of a savior to the waitress, who was extremely moved and grateful. Ms. Hyun Julian? Yes, thank you. Back to Dojin. He was relentlessly punching. He apologized as he explained further. Apparently, even the Hero Association believes he's dead. Hee-ju still adamantly refused to believe. She grew increasingly furious, shouting, Don't make excuses. What are you going to do about this? Suddenly, he remembered something. Besides, there's something else I need to report. Manager Lee spoke up. Kang Cheon-woo has been retaliated against by Do-jun. She was stunned for a moment, then asked again, Kang Cheon-woo, what happened to that bastard? He suspected that Do-jun might know something. Upon hearing this, Hee-ju seemed to fall into a dark sea of silence. A sense of unease washed over her. She composed herself and swallowed hard. Hee-ju looked up, her heart heavy with many worries. If word gets to father, or my husband, it would be quite troublesome, but it can be managed, so it's fine. But if it gets out to the press, the company's stock price could fall. It must be stopped at all costs. Then, she pointed directly at Manager Lee, her face stern, and ordered, block the media immediately. Both from making it news, and of course, the T Group as well. The WC Group will also pull their ads and stop cooperating. Tell the police to keep quiet. Go immediately, he reported anxiously. The police and the media have already been silenced. Then she sighed deeply and slumped into her chair. Good work. Manager Lee leaned in shyly and whispered into Hee-ju's ear, asking again. But you know this isn't a permanent solution, right? No. That's why I wanted to say. He whispered into her ear, revealing the truth. Kang Cheon-woo's cousin is Kang Yong-pyo. Hee-ju's eyes widened in surprise. She seemed quite hesitant and asked, the Kang Yong-pyo I know? Hee-ju recalled the days of revelry and Cheon-woo's tireless partying, and had to silently assess. Kang Cheon-woo is notoriously known as trash, even among heroes. Everyone thinks Kang Yong-pyo cherishes Kang Cheon-woo, but in reality, Kang Cheon-woo is just the one who does all of Kang Yong-pyo's dirty work for him. Manager Lee added, if Kang Cheon-woo is manipulated by the police and media, it wouldn't be good for Kang Yong-pyo either. So it seems they've already gotten involved. Hee-ju sat upright in her chair, seriously planned. First, we probably need to meet. Arrange a meeting as soon as possible. He immediately complied. Yes, I understand. Hee-ju glared with those cold, sharp eyes, and then wondered. And Director Huang Trang, the CEO of HCS Capital, has he betrayed us? He replied, yes. I heard he's taking care of Do-jun's family. After confirming all her judgments were correct, her face darkened, and she harshly ordered Manager Lee, contact Prosecutor Park immediately. Then she declared, how dare he abandon me to choose the other side? He must pay the price for that action. The scene then changed. Hero teams were observing the appearing cracks. Recently, a total of 37 crack zones existed in South Korea. Among them, 5 crack zones were currently transforming into gates. The rest, only heroes affiliated with the Hero Association, could adjust their schedules to hunt. Suddenly, a voice rang out. Hero Hyun Junjun, identity confirmed, wishing you a safe expedition. After the confirmation was complete, they returned her certification card. At this moment, Julian's team began to enter the crack, an eerily quiet atmosphere. Jun stood behind, observing casually, and thought to himself, there's only one entrance. Moreover, even though they know it's Hero Hyun Junjun, they still meticulously check her identity and maintain strict control. Suddenly, Jinju, an A-rank hero from the Korean Hero Association, and the leader of the Flowery Brocade Guild, cheerfully approached her and spoke. Juna, you're the one who suggested hunting in the crack zone first this time. That's quite unusual, isn't it? Jun avoided her gaze and stammered in reply. I was just free and had nothing to do, so... Then she looked down through the crowd at him. Do-jun wore an expressionless face, slowly walking step by step, following the group. Julian suddenly remembered his words when they were at the diner the other day. There's only one condition. If you let me into the crack zone, I'll sell you all the magic stones I have at market price. The reason for hunting in the crack zone? To earn more money. Her face grew serious as she racked her brain, thinking, just for that reason, he'd come to a dangerous crack zone? This guy is not normal at all. Though Jian looked up at the natural scenery outside the cave, her thoughts didn't diminish in the slightest. Even if it wasn't for your uncle's request, I would still need magic stones. As a hero, I'm fine either way but you. And the whole group stepped out of there together, into a wild forest. Jinju sidled up close to her, her voice excited. Tell me the truth. Who is that man? Jian hesitated. Just an acquaintance. Du Jun walked coolly in the summer breeze. Jinju's voice rang out. Just an acquaintance? You expect me to believe that? Is he a boyfriend candidate? Jian shook her head vigorously, denying, it's not like that at all. I just owe him a small favor. So I brought him here to repay it. Hearing that, Jinju asked inquisitively, A favor? S-rank hero Hyun. Jian owes a favor? She glanced down at her teammates and replied. Something like that happened. Suddenly, a strange gust of wind blew past, making everyone realize something was about to happen. Du Jun became more alert. Everyone readied themselves for battle. A monster with a dragon's body and a bird's tail approached, letting out an ear-splitting shriek with terrifying speed. Jinju, terrified, recognized it as a Kokachi. Jian immediately directed the team. Jinju and Doyen, defensive positions. Sung-ho, aim for its legs. No sooner had she finished speaking, and before everyone could even move into position, Du Jun had already shot past the entire team. He dashed with immense power, aiming straight for the Kokachi. Everyone was astonished, including Juyin. Du Jun. Meanwhile, he was muttering to himself. First one down. Du Jun gathered momentum in an instant and shot off like a lightning bolt. He soared up to confront it head-on without a hint of hesitation. A brilliant light flashed in Du Jun's eyes. His face was impassive, his fist gathering power, waiting for the moment to strike. The time came. Du Jun unleashed his fist before the Kokachi even realized. It took the full brunt of his blow, looking half dead, unable to even cry out. The Kokachi fell freely from high above and crashed to the ground. Thud! The ground shattered. Du Jun landed lightly on the ground like a feather, to Juyin's utter astonishment. Her entire body froze as she watched him dispatch. In an instant, the Kokachi's face was horribly deformed, lying motionless in one spot, not moving an inch. The closer one looked at its wounds, the more terrifying Du Jun's power seemed. The person behind Jian, stunned, spoke up. What was that? Killed in one blow. Du Jun raised his foot and replied, not yet. Then he gathered his strength and stomped hard on its head and explained, this is how you make sure it's completely dead. The surprise everyone felt moments ago was now mixed with a hint of fear at his brutality. Jinju's eyes widened. She turned to Juyin and asked, who is that guy? Her face cold, disbelieving what she had just seen, Jian wondered to herself, just a strong person? Jinju then angrily shook her, protesting, how can you say that? To defeat a Kokachi in a single blow. How many heroes can do that? Jian adjusted her glasses and replied awkwardly, if it's just about taking it down, you could do it too, sis. Why would you say that? Jinju frowned, annoyed. She lightly punched Juyin beside her and retorted, you saw it with your own eyes, and you're still trying to downplay it. Moreover, in an aerial battle, an attack flying right at it that it couldn't dodge, getting hit and collapsing, and all in just one blow. As she spoke about the true strength of the Kokachi, it made Juyin freeze. That bird isn't some ordinary monster, you know. Juyin looked towards him, doubting that young man. What is his identity? Suddenly, her face turned cold, and she called out, sis, we need to change the plan. She took off her glasses and announced seriously, I'm going to the central area for a bit. Seeing her sudden change, everyone was too stunned to speak. Jian approached Du Jun as he was dissecting the monster. Hey! Upon hearing her voice, he quickly refused, making Jian freeze on the spot, stiff as a board. I have no intention of sharing loot with someone who didn't contribute. Du Jun put the magic stone into his bag, ignoring Jian's attempt to explain. I wasn't going to ask for a share, you know. Then she slowly explained, it seems your abilities don't quite match this place. Are you planning to go deeper? Hearing that, he chuckled. Du Jun seemed quite excited and replied, sounds good. Juyin swept past him like a gust of wind, but still kindly reminded him, I'm familiar with the terrain here. I'll lead the way. Stay close if you don't want to get lost. Du Jun had just stood up when she had already dashed off, leaving him there alone. Du Jun watched Juyin, speechless. His face grew serious as he prepared to gather momentum. Then he shot off after her like a rocket, indenting the ground where he stood. To everyone's shock, they watched his retreating figure and remarked, if Jian is a bullet, then that guy is light. Truly light itself. A young man in the group saw this and immediately asked Jinju, guild leader, aren't we going? She silently watched their speed and asked back, "Do you think you can keep up?" He made an indescribable face and honestly confessed, "Of course not. It's easier said than done." Then she ordered the others, "Today we're just background characters. Just hunt around here as usual." Everyone chorused, "Yes." They gradually dispersed according to her instructions, but only Jinju lingered, looking at the Kokachi and thinking to herself, an A-rank hero is already revered and admired by everyone, but its battered face still made her freeze. Jinju frowned, fearful, in front of an S-rank. We're just infinitesimally small beings. Juyin too. She gradually felt uneasy thinking about Du-jun, and that man as well. Back to Juyin. She was moving at a speed difficult for the human eye to follow. After a while, she looked back, searching for Du-jun's figure. The path was empty, so Juyin had silently underestimated it, thinking, should I slow down a bit for him? Before she could even lift her head, he was already beside her, his voice making Juyin's heart skip a beat. "Can't you go any faster?" Du-jun's voice startled her, causing her to stumble, while he, not understanding what happened, sped past her. Juyin, flustered, wondered to herself, "He caught up to me? In terms of speed, I'm top 2 in Korea." Suddenly, Du-jun stopped. He turned his head and said disdainfully, "Slower than I thought. You were running as if you wouldn't let anyone catch up." Hearing this, Juyin jumped, embarrassed, and denied. "Who said I wasn't letting anyone catch up?" Her face grew redder as she stammered, "When did I ever do that?" But Du-jun paid no attention, raising his hand to observe what was ahead. A massive mountain with an unusually quiet atmosphere. He spoke, confusing her, "Hey, what's over there?" Now, that mountain was clearly visible in her eyes. That place, Juyin continued to introduce. "This is where the boss monster of the crack zone is." He wondered, boss monster? She closed her eyes, pensive, recalling the image of the boss on this mountain. "You've heard of Kazarian, right? A giant monster. It's 30 m tall, looks like a pterodactyl. Don't even think about confronting it, because it takes at least 3 S-rank heroes, or more to take it down." Du-jun, staring straight ahead, replied to her, "That's the one that possesses a superior grade magic stone." Ju-jon immediately confirmed, "That's right. It drops a superior grade mana crystal, just below the ultimate grade. Are you even listening to me?" Du-jun took slow, deliberate steps. Ju-jon realized this and became a little anxious, reaching out her hand as if to stop him. "I brought you here, not for you to do something so reckless." Du-jun ignored her words and shot off like a rocket. Ju-jon gaped, horrified and doubting her own eyes. What is he planning to do? She immediately chased after him. "Stop right there." The two of them dashed together to cross this forest. In just a moment, dust billowed, covering the entire path. Now, their only goal was to reach that mountain. Ju-jon's eyes widened in astonishment, mixed with a bit of fear as she looked ahead. A strong wind blew past her frozen body. Ju-jon could only wonder what on earth. In front of her now was the corpse of the Kazarian, a high-level dangerous monster that had just been eliminated. What was happening? Meanwhile, Du-jun was calmly dissecting it, searching for items. She approached, watching him. Ju-jon, looking worried, frowned and stated, "The Kazarian is very strong." Ju-jon suddenly thought of a tall, strong man. Park Hyun-jun, an S-rank hero, famous for hunting the Kazarian. When he first hunted the Kazarian with 30 A-rank heroes, all the A-rank heroes perished. Only Park Hyun-jun barely survived. After that, Park Hyun-jun gathered another S-rank hero and 200 A-rank heroes to wage a war of revenge against the Kazarian. Even though they were A-rank, everyone fought with all their might, without a shred of hesitation. The first ropes were launched by them to catch it. The Kazarian turned its head, looking towards them, with a dangerous gaze and fiery breath. Hyun-jun advanced with the A-rank heroes, filled with confidence. It opened its mouth wide, roaring as if to devour them whole. With just a single flex from the Kazarian, all the binding ropes, and along with them, many lives were made to log out by. After an arduous struggle, they finally succeeded in hunting the Kazarian, but most of the participating heroes perished. The aftermath of that battle was immense. The massive Squid Life Guild, run by Park Hyun-jun, couldn't recover its strength until 3 years later, due to those consequences. After a moment of silence, he glanced at Ju-jon. Du-jun said teasingly, "You know you didn't contribute anything, right?" Ju-jon's face scrunched up, boiling with anger. At this moment, she was still utterly shocked. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. You flew up alone to fight it hand to hand, without any support whatsoever. That this man, she froze, eyes wide with astonishment as she witnessed Du-jun take down that notorious Khazarian with a single blow. After a moment of rummaging, he pulled out a high-value item from the Khazarian's body. Du-jun stared at it. He gently put it in his bag, saying, "I don't need a guide anymore." Du-jun walked off, leaving Ju-jon there. "From now on, I'll act on my own." She looked at the Khazarian's body and asked Du-jun, "Aren't you taking the Khazarian's byproducts?" He replied, "Besides a magic stone, there's the beak, claws, and many academically valuable materials." Suddenly, he stopped. Du-jun turned back to look at her, smiled, and said frankly, "Those don't sell for much." Ju-jon was frozen stiff, utterly speechless. Du-jun quickly turned away and continued his journey. He was even kind enough to pay her fee. During that time, it's more efficient to look for other monsters' magic stones. Just take the byproducts. Consider it your guide fee. Ju-jon looked at the Khazarian and pondered for a moment. The wind blew through a very picturesque scene. She coldly refused. "I don't need it." The sun was gradually setting. The hero party was gathered in a clearing in the forest. Ju-jon returned and threw down a bulging bag. Seeing this, everyone froze for a moment. A young man in the group spoke with admiration. "That man borrowed that large backpack and brought it back full of magic stones. Are you kidding?" Estimating the items inside, he could hardly believe that much. "Our whole guild would have to hunt for at least 20 hours to get that." "Right." Looking inside, it'd probably take 3 whole days of hunting. He sighed, wondering, who on earth is he? Meanwhile, Ju-jon sat leaning against a nearby rock, looking tired. Jinju glanced at her and couldn't help but think. The speed and quantity are undeniable. Her eyes widened in amazement as she recalled Ju-jon's words. But if what Ju-jon said is true, he single-handedly took down the Khazarian, without any special equipment or suit. The image of Du-jun standing proudly on the mountaintop further proved his current standing. That alone is enough to say that man is the strongest hero in Korea. No, maybe the strongest in the world. Hearing footsteps, Jinju immediately turned. Du-jun appeared with a muscular physique, carrying a large bag of items, steadily approaching everyone. He gently dropped it in front of their astonished faces, ignoring Du-jun's presence. They continued their lively discussion. "He brought back that much again. Even if we told anyone about today, no one would believe us, right? They just call us crazy." They laughed and joked. "Let me be clear. Don't tell anyone about this. Though even if we did, no one would believe it, huh?" Everyone chimed in agreement. That seems to be the case. Ju-jon walked over to him. The two of them exchanged some words in front of the others. Jinju's voice rang out. "Those two are definitely checking each other out, aren't they?" The young man, seeing it, agreed. "Probably. We should have realized when." Ju-jon brought a man here. A moment later, Ju-jon raised her voice, yelling at Du-jun's face. But people still uttered sweet words about the two of them. It takes a man of that caliber to stand next to Ju-jon and not be overshadowed. They look good together, too. You can tell they're a talented and attractive couple just by looking. Suddenly, Ju-jon narrowed her eyes, realizing something. Wait a minute, calling it checking each other out is a bit strange, isn't it? Du-jun's indifference was noted by her. That man treats Ju-jon quite casually. I can't believe someone treats Ju-jon like that. Suddenly, he handed her a huge bag of items, and then quietly headed into the deep forest. Jinju fell back, exclaiming, "What the? That man just left? Without even a goodbye." Du-jun's figure grew fainter and fainter. She glanced at the bags, then pointed at him, wondering, "What about these backpacks?" He left them all behind. Ju-jon repeated to Jinju what she had just said to him. "When I said if the story of him taking down the Khazarian got out, he'd become famous instantly." Then Du-jun's reply, through her retelling. "He said being famous is too troublesome. Then he told me to handle these things." This left Jinju astonished and impressed. She uttered a reproachful remark. "What a strange man he is." Ju-jon was silent for a moment. She turned her face away, thinking embarrassedly, he really is a strange man. In the city center, where countless towering buildings were located, among them was a place called Bi. It housed many of the world's S-rank heroes. At this moment, Hyunjun was preparing to unleash a fierce punch, his eyes dangerous at a punching bag, as if training with an opponent. With one punch from him, the punching bag burst into 100 pieces. His eyes, determined and tinged with anger, looked at his handiwork. He angrily cursed himself. "Park Hyunjun, You look pathetic. Park Hyunjun, S-rank hero of the Korean Hero Association, guild master of the Squid Life Guild. Suddenly, a man approached, looking no different from a multi-level marketer. The better you endure these hard times now, like this, the higher the guild master's reputation will soar. Hyunjun calmly wiped his face and replied grimly, "It has to be this way. That's the only way to teach those who look down on me a proper lesson." A servant cheerfully and politely bowed, his voice agreeing. Indeed, accumulate little by little, it will become strength, condensing solidly and then unleashing explosive power. Upon hearing that, everyone will have to kneel before the guild master. Hyunjun paused for a moment. The servant, emboldened, pressed on with a sly smile. Moreover, regarding the strategy for dealing with the Khazarian, who knows more than the guild master, Hyunjun didn't look pleased to hear that. On the contrary, he seemed very worried. He spared no words in praising Hyunjun. In the future, you will be renowned as the hero who defeated the Khazarian. With the fewest participants in the world, perhaps even the hero, association will grant you exclusive rights over the Khazarian. The servant handed him a bottle of water, his mouth chattering nonstop. Hyunjun reached out to take it, then struck a pose with his hand on his hip, admitting with utmost confidence, "Because no one understands it better than I do." But he still hesitated for a moment, then looked at a photo of his younger self and his numerous awards, and said honestly, "Compared to 3 years ago, our guild has shrunk too much." Even so, his pride and confidence had always remained. "In any case, only I can be sure to take down that bird monster, right?" The servant, his eyes mismatched in excitement, replied joyfully, "Exactly. Who else but the guild master could do it?" A commotion arose within the BI company. It turned out everyone there was interested in his file. Yeon Pyo, an S-rank hero of the Korean Hero Association, Kang Cheon-yu's cousin, stared at it, wondering, "Do-jun, is that this guy?" The assistant standing behind recounted everything. A few months ago, hero Kang Cheon-yu tried to eliminate him by luring him into a gate. Yeon Pyo asked again. He didn't die, and he even awakened there. He hesitated for a moment, then replied, "Yes, that's right." He said, "Continue." The assistant went on. "The client is Hong Hee-ju, executive director of T Corporation. She is also the illegitimate daughter of the W Corporation." Hearing this, Yeon Pyo wondered to himself, truly a lady born with a silver spoon. Why would she do that to this kind of guy? He told everything he knew. It said that Do-jun is the illegitimate son of T Corporation, who entered the household at age 7. But Hong Hee-ju gave birth to a son 6 years ago, so he was kicked out. Hearing this, Yeon Pyo laughed scornfully in a disdainful manner. Even so, they're blood-related. Seems like Chable families aren't worth a damn either. Then he stepped down from his seat and asked, "So, how much did Cheon-yu receive?" Yeon Pyo walked over to the golf practice area. The servant replied, 3 billion. His face turned cold. "Is that all?" He slowly picked up the golf club and mentioned Cheon-yu. "I heard that Cheon-yu fellow became completely incapacitated." The assistant behind him said, "Yes. I heard he was just beaten up, but his whole body was severely burned, and both his eyes were blinded. He's just barely clinging to life." Yeon Pyo started to putt the golf ball, whispering, "Truly a ruthless fellow." As the words escaped his mouth, suddenly Yeon Pyo looked up at the sky, licked his lips perversely, and muttered to himself, "If it were me, I'd have dismembered him piece by piece," and then crushed his head. The assistant continued to report, and at the scene, he said there are rumors that Hyunju John helped Do-jun. Upon hearing this, the ball Yeon Pyo had just hit suddenly flew faster than usual and veered off course, missing the hole. He frantically strained his neck, approached the assistant, and questioned him repeatedly. Why would Hyunju John do that? Why would she help that guy? What's her relationship with him? The assistant, slightly scared, stammered, "Well, thanks to Hyunju John testifying to the police, the incident was quietly resolved." This was beyond Yeon Pyo's limit. He grabbed the assistant's collar and yelled, "Investigate it immediately." What's the relationship? If there's no relationship, there must have been some kind of deal. Find out what it was. Terrified, he quickly replied, "Yes, I'll find out right away." His face darkened, his eyes showing an indescribable frustration. Yeon Pyo was so angry he crushed the club he was holding in his hand. Then he threw the broken club forward. Yeon Pyo pursed his lips, trying to suppress his anger, silently affirming, "Soon, Hong Hee-ju's side will come to me, asking me to do the job that Cheon-woo couldn't." He muttered, "Fine." Suddenly, he stuck out his disgusting tongue and gave a perverse, cunning smile. She's the wife of Tycoon. Money will surely be plentiful, right? Scene changes to Do-jun. He is now walking alone on a deserted road. In the desolate night, Do-jun, with a serious face, focused on his thoughts. As expected, hunting in the rift is much more effective than at the gate. He walked and calculated. Will I have to rely on Hyunju John's help to get in and out from now on? He recalled her words when they were together in the rift. If you sell the Kazarian magic stones, you'll get so much attention. Your true strength will be proven, and the press will hound you day and night. So for now, you should just keep them hidden. She continued, if your goal is to become famous, then I won't stop you. It's not that simple. What are you going to do? As soon as Ju-yun finished speaking, Do-jun had already handed his item pouch to her. Because of all this, he couldn't help but laugh helplessly. I'll have to find another way to get to the rift area. Since he had also spent quite a bit of energy in the rift, Do-jun decided to first rest well in the new house that Hwang Jang-suk had prepared for him. He started to open the gate and went inside. Suddenly, something below made him pause for a moment. Many pairs of shoes, neatly arranged, appeared in Do-jun's house. Shoes? Just as Do-jun opened the door, someone called out to him, Appa. Now before his eyes was a line of bodyguards, led by a thin man. They were all surrounding his grandmother and little Eun-young. The man's face was extremely sharp and dangerous. The little girl, seeing Do-jun come in, rushed into his arms. Appa, Appa. Do-jun wondered, who are you people? The man spoke up. Mr. Seo Do-jun, I am Prosecutor Park Cheon-yun, from a Seoul District Prosecutor's Office. You know Hwang Jang-suk, don't you? Do-jun's eyes widened in astonishment, speechless. Cheon-yun, with a cold face, declared, we are urgently arresting you for the crime of participating in the illegal loan sharking activities of HCS Capital's director, Hwang Jang-suk. Warm sunlight shone throughout the prison space. Inside that large building, Do-jun was tightly handcuffed to the chair behind him. His eyes darted around, observing his surroundings. A person was entering from outside, answering a phone call. Yes. Chief Lee, don't worry. Hwang Jang-suk and Seo Do-jun are both being cooperative. He forcefully pushed open the door in front of him and stepped inside. Thank you for even considering my daughter's study abroad. Standing in front of the observation monitor, Cheon-yun continued to negotiate with the person on the other end of the line. Please convey my sincere regards to Director Hong. The image of Do-jun, tightly bound to the chair, greatly interested him. The reason I became a prosecutor is to... He paused for a moment, then continued with a loud laugh. Sweep the scum out of society. A moment later, Cheon-yun entered the interrogation room. He slammed a stack of papers onto the table. His face showed annoyance as he questioned Do-jun. So in the end, what have you accomplished so far? With just these charges, you're already looking at 15 years in prison. Cheon-yun picked up one of the documents to show him. We have clear evidence of your criminal activities through Hwang Jang-suk. Do-jun's face darkened, full of displeasure. Seeing him remain silent, Cheon-yun lost his composure and yelled, look at this bastard. You think I'm framing you? Suddenly, Do-jun spoke up assertively, stunning him. Hong Hee-ju. It was her, wasn't it? Cheon-yun angrily slammed his hand on the table and asked back, who? Hong Hee-ju. Who is that? Meanwhile, Do-jun frowned, thinking to himself, in this situation, it seems Hwang Jang-suk's side has been completely defeated. I chose to remain silent to avoid escalating things. But if this continues... At the same time, Cheon-yun tapped his foot, trying to calm down. Kid, I don't know where you heard that from. Then he leaned forward, getting close to him. But do you think a prosecutor of the Republic of Korea is some insignificant being? Your life is over, fool. Immediately after, Do-jun shot him a look filled with killing intent. Cheon-yun was so frightened he flinched and trembled. Sweat poured down like a stream. He hastily straightened up and stammered, this. Cheon-yun, unable to finish his sentence, gritted his teeth and cursed. This guy, even so, after a moment of thought, all he could do was yell, this bastard. Just as Cheon-yun raised his hand to hit him, a sound made him stop. He paused. Another staff member opened the door slightly and called, Prosecutor Park, could you step out for a moment? In the large hallway, Cheon-yun's shouts echoed everywhere. What? He tried to maintain his composure and looked at the paper in front of him. Is it broken? The person opposite him gently replied, no, sir. I've checked it thoroughly, but there's nothing wrong with the machine. What was on the report paper made him quite perplexed. So why does the awakening meter report him as a civilian? Is that reasonable? This guy, Co Do-jun, is listed as normal. The staff member helplessly looked up at Cheon-yun, slightly scared. I'm not sure either. Or perhaps the information about his awakening is incorrect. At this moment, Cheon-yun, was also silent, thinking to himself, but this is data investigated by T Corporation. It can't be wrong. He even knows Hong Hee-ju's full name. Who on earth is that guy? Inside the interrogation room, Do-jun let out a sigh of relief. His eyes were filled with anger. Now I understand why they call Korean prosecutors the hunting dogs of the prosecutor's office. Or should I just destroy everything? While he was still lost in his thoughts, the door slowly opened. Do-jun's thought, just take Grandma and Eun-young to a safe place. Ju-yun, after pushing the door open and entering, looked a bit bewildered. What are you doing here? June, seeing it was her, relaxed and leaned back. I don't even know what I'm doing here anymore. Ju-yun, annoyed, tilted her head and questioned him. Mr. Do-jun, please don't act recklessly. I understand you're very agitated, but if you use your power, the consequences could be dire. Faced with her confidence, he looked a bit bewildered. Are you going to help me? However, she stood there with her arms crossed. It's not exactly helping. Ju-yun's eyes widened as she stared at him. It's just that now I know you've done nothing wrong. If I didn't know, it would be one thing. But when I know an innocent person is being framed, I have to correct the mistake, right? Hearing that, Do-jun chuckled and replied, is that so? Seeing this, Ju-yun continued to explain her thoughts. The Awakened Association will launch an investigation. They are monitoring both invalid fake awakening licenses and the new rift in Mapo. Do-jun, completely unconcerned about those things, asked about something else, leaving her bewildered. What about my family? Ju-yun expressed her annoyance and waved her hand at him. Do you think I'm your assistant? Why should I worry about your family? Instantly, Do-jun's eyes became sharp as he glared at her. Ju-yun immediately became flustered and avoided his gaze. Before turning to leave, she also relented and reassured him. They're safe now, so don't worry too much. Hearing that, he let out a sigh of satisfaction. Thank you. I won't forget this debt. Ju-yun blushed, embarrassed, and glanced at him. Anyway, just be patient and endure a little longer. I'll handle this as soon as possible. The method Ju-yun chose was not to directly prove Do-jun's innocence. Instead, she exposed the acts of bribery and wrongful demands of prosecutor Park Cheon-yun, which led to him losing his position. And through a fair investigation, it was confirmed that Do-jun was completely innocent, although he couldn't avoid punishment for illegally possessing a fake awakening license. Thanks to Ju-yun's active defense, the issue only ended with a suspended sentence. In the car, carrying him and her, a news report suddenly played. Currently, in the United Kingdom, an unknown type of monster is attacking people. This horse-shaped monster is 1.5 meters tall, has 4 eyes, and significant jumping ability. Before it finished, Do-jun coldly spoke up. It's a Magagen. Ju-yun was extremely surprised by his words. Her eyes widened as she looked at him. Huh? How do you know? It's a new type of monster. Only the association knows this name. Staring at his calm demeanor, Ju-yun was very suspicious. Monster names aren't given randomly. Magic stones contain special energy, along with unique data, and by analyzing them, one can know the name and information related to the monster. In the modern world, this is based on science, while in the ruined world, magic is used. Simply put, as long as the same type of monster appears in both worlds. Do-jun knows most of their names. He gently leaned back in his seat and continued to give her useful information. Magagen can be easily defeated with an extract from red flower ants. This was somewhat new to Ju-yun. Red flower ants? Seeing her curiosity, he turned to explain. It's harmless to humans, but to Magagen, it's a potent paralyzing toxin. If you spray it on them, they won't be able to move like they do now. After he finished speaking, she became somewhat reserved and remained silent. Her eyebrows furrowed in suspicion. Co Do-jun, who on earth are you? However, Do-jun remained stock still, saying nothing, and looked straight ahead. The car, which had been speeding down the road, suddenly braked sharply. Ju-yun silently glanced at him. Seeing Do-jun still silent, she started to get angry. Are you even listening to me? After letting Ju-yun monologue for a while, Do-jun slowly moved his lips. If now, his eyes became sharp as he glanced towards her threateningly. I kill you, what then?